Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Insane Frequencies podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Rutus van Lennep, where we are here to grow and here to share. I have somebody next to me who is our fourth guest of season 2. I'm really excited to have her on. Her name is Lachelle Bester. Welcome, Lachelle.
Hello, Steven.
Long time no see.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm very excited. Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. And before we go any further, just want to remind you, if you want to support the channel, check out our Patreon. Otherwise, stay tuned for episode 4 of season 2.
Oh my word, I was an absolute rage baiter. I was fighting for trans rights at my school. Do not tell my mom. The middle of grade 9, what I thought I'd been delivered from came back. Because then a year and a half later, I was feeling the same way again, but I've got God. So it's like, what? This is... One friend, she said something once one day where she was like, yo, I think it's so selfish if anyone would commit suicide. It's almost like unintentional. Like, it's not like they didn't know they weren't creating a safe space, but you just felt like you were going to be judged. I didn't tell you which of them is going to be. Like, I can't tell now. Like, there's not these early indicators, and it's just... What the biggest thing it's dependent on is who they choose to be their friend.
Everything in me is saying, I need you to show up now, otherwise this is over. Because I'm too afraid to talk about it to anybody else. And everyone that I know I can trust thinks it's selfish, so what do I do? Welcome back. We are here, season 2, episode 4. Lachelle, how are you feeling officially? Are you ready for this episode and ready to just experience a full kind of setup of a podcast?
I'm very excited. Even just talking into these mics was a very cool experience, core memory for me, and I think we're going to have a very good conversation.
It's going to be good. Guys, just for the record, she was like, have you done ASMR with these microphones?
It's the first thing I wanted to do. Yeah.
So what did we do? We did a book, we whispered, we did drinking coffee. Really, really cool. So, Lachelle, for anyone who does not know who you are, but I know you've got a massive fan base, right? I mean, there's just... So many people,
so many
but
stalkers.
For those who don't know you, whoa. That's good. Well, not the stalking part. Anyway, so moving on. For anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us who you are, what you're about, what you do, what season you're in, basically, just to summarize all those questions into one. What season you're in, and take it from there.
I would try my best.
I'm
Lachelle Bester, as you said, no middle name. I'm in grade 12. I'm a learner at Cura Hillcrest High School in grade 12. So that's kind of the season that I'm in right now.
Matric.
I guess that's me.
Nice, solid, amazing. So
that's like such a difficult question always.
It is a very difficult question. So that's the season that you're in the context of like everybody's life kind of progress, and in the context of like maybe outside of school, like where you're at, like how's that going? Like you can go into sports, you can go into family, you can go into something that you've maybe learnt, or something you find challenging. It's like super chilled.
Okay, so sport-wise, it's not going good.
Please tell people why it's not going great.
Exhibit so I'm actually on crutches right now. I got injured in hockey last week. Very boring story. I was sprinting my heart out.
Usain Bolt fast.
Exactly what I told you, yeah. But I'm apparently not used to running that fast. So when I changed direction, my knee just copped out.
Other way.
And now we've been on crutches. And it's kind of hard because it is my last season of playing hockey for the school. Oh, no.
Yeah.
We had a very interesting game last night, and I actually cried afterwards because I was like, I wish I could.
Why was
be
it
on
interesting?
What? Because it was against Kloof, which is a big rivalry.
Big rival. Got
and
you.
Ended up drawing 0-0. The vein is popping out. So it's been a difficult thing to work through.
Yeah,
emotionally and
definitely.
physically. But yeah.
And the physio is coming.
Eventually,
we'll get there. Well. Great start. So we've done life progress. We've done the emotional side of having an injury, and the mental tough fortitude that a 0-0 experience has at basically a derby day, right? Is it our biggest rivals? But we're going to move on to unpopular opinion.
Oh, I'm excited. I've got lots of these.
So we've got unpopular opinion. So I will share one or two, and you can tell us why you agree with it or why you don't agree with it. And if you want to, you can even throw one or two out there, because I know you enjoy Unpopular Opinion, but don't feel the pressure. I've got some ready. Okay. So the first one is, some Christian movies are hard to watch.
I probably wouldn't know. Which means yes.
Okay. Yeah, that answers the question.
I can't think of one Christian movie that I've watched in
seriously.
like the last 5 years.
There's one going around currently, The Forge. I don't know if you've heard of it. Great start. Like, this is awesome. Cool. So that was quick.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go on to our next one. And worship music doesn't have to be 10 minutes long.
Yes. Okay, no, I actually have a personal thing for this, because this last week I cut out secular music of my life.
Got you.
Because I was like, I need to hear God, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my word. Just kind of stopped listening to music in general, because every song has this deep climatic moment, which I'm here for. But when I'm getting dressed in the morning, no, I don't need that in my life. So I think
You're going to be selective. You can't just...
It's difficult.
But so you don't want a deep moment every 2 seconds.
Where they're like screaming. I love it, but not
I mean, there are different forms of worship. There's like praise, there's like
Yeah.
soaking in worship, then there's the like very spontaneous kind of experience where it can go up and down and in between. Are you someone who just prefers like a 3 to 4.5 minute song, verse, chorus, verse 2, bridge, chorus?
Probably.
What's
Depends like on the context.
Okay, fair enough.
Like if I'm worshipping, then yes, give me 20 minutes.
But if I'm getting dressed, no.
Please, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah, cool, awesome, love it. And then the next one, this you can take as much time as you want. Jesus is the only way to God.
Sips coffee.
Sips
Okay, let's unpack that. Jesus is the only way to God.
Go
What do
for
we
it.
mean by the way?
This is literally just an online.
Oh,
Yeah, this is not
okay. So
my
I can
unpopular
interpret
opinion.
this.
You can
any way I want.
interpret it any way you want to.
So, I think Jesus is God. So it's like, what are we actually saying here? Jesus is the only way to God. Is Jesus the only way to himself? Okay, probably. I'm going to say yes, but I will say I think a lot of people get to the conclusion that God is real before they get to the revelation of who Jesus is. So,
Ooh, okay. Can you say that again, just for
Okay.
someone catching up with what you've just said?
a lot of people get to the conclusion that God is real before they
Yes.
get the revelation of who Jesus is. So
Okay.
that why like it depends what we define as to God. But I think to genuine faith,
yeah,
to heaven, to eternal life, Jesus is the only way.
100%. That's really good, really good. I believe that to be true as well. I think we have a concept of God before we realize He is, or who Jesus is, and then go from there. Do you feel like that was something you kind of had in your own life as well?
Yeah,
I feel like most people relate to that.
yeah, definitely.
Well, depending on your upbringing and the value system of your household and all those things. But yeah, I think it's very true. Solid answer. Very, very good.
Thank you.
And speaking of values and upbringing, let me know. I'm just going to steer the boat and you can answer wherever you want to go. Family. What does that look like for you from when you're young and now? Belief system, values, and who in the context of Jesus, how's it been? Have you grown up in a Christian household or not, and stuff like that? Yeah.
Okay, so I have two wonderful parents, Chanel and Steph. Feels weird calling them by their first names. And they're elders in City Hill Church. And then I've got two older sisters, Janae, and then another one, Banele. Well, she's not officially my sister, but I just call her my sister. And yeah, so ever since, I don't like this phrase, but a lot of people use it, you're kind of born at the altar. So
Yes.
yeah, that was me and my family.
I relate, so that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. Parents are very strong in their faith, very good role models to me. And I think I was 8 when I gave my life to the Lord. Don't know what prompted me to do that, but I remember going to my teacher and being like, I want to pray that prayer, because
Yeah,
and then
100%.
she prayed the prayer with me, and I don't know
Yeah.
why I wanted to do that, but I did. And that's kind of where my journey with God started, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
But I think you're stereotypical of growing up in a church household. That would be pretty much.
That would be your experience.
Yeah.
Awesome. And with that, it comes with many different like ups and downs in terms of growing up in the church, because a lot of people assume you grew up in the church, you must be like a strong Christian. You must be like parting seas and moving mountains and all those things.
All the time.
And singing 10-minute worship songs. But for you, what are some of the highs that you've had in regards to that? And then we can talk about some of the lows after that. Like what do you feel like have been some major contributing factors in terms of like in this day and age, growing up is probably the best and hardest it's ever been in the context of social media. I mean, now you get the term iPad kids, which is like big thing, big thing. So I think Gen Z, Gen Alpha's only, I think they're like 15, 16 now.
14.
14.
In grade 8.
Grade 8.
Feral.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So they basically don't know what it was like to not have internet. Is essentially, it's part of one of the major defining factors of Gen Alpha, if I'm not mistaken. But very hard to live out values and know who you are in today's society. How has growing up in a Christian household, have you felt like that's brought you security growing up? Do you feel like it's been a bit challenging at the same time? Yeah,
I think there are a lot of benefits of it in the sense that I've got a lot of values in me. I've got a lot of values I don't know.
Embedded,
principle.
yeah.
I don't know. I know that a lot of other people have to walk to a journey to discover for themselves because their parents didn't teach it to them. So even when it comes to how to use my finances, when I was 8 years old, we had 3 jars: tithe, saving, spend. And then my dad would give us a 10 rands and we had to split it between there. So
that's good.
There's a lot of stuff that I feel like I've been guided in that's been really helpful. I think that when you grow up as a Christian, a lot of people feel like they have a boring testimony, like
right.
But I think that's also a beautiful thing. Is just like not having. You're a testament to your parents' faith and God's promises of a family and a generation. How if you're going to raise your kids, not your students, raise your kids in the way they'll walk in it. So I think that's something that's like a benefit that's been from me as well.
Amazing. And then what are some of the challenges that maybe you've had? So you just mentioned like some people think that's, I just grew up, it's not really a testimony, but like you said, I think that's probably one of the most beautiful aspects of growing up in a Christian household. For me, I almost like to say just parents who believe in Jesus, which is, because sometimes, just for instance, there was one podcast where this girl was basically saying, I'm a Christian. The guy said, so do you read in the Bible? And she was like, no. I'm like, sorry, what?
Let's get into that.
Yeah, exactly. So what's maybe something that has been a challenge in the context of, for you?
I think that naturally everyone goes through a phase where they want to rebel against whatever they've grown up with. So for me, that was rebelling against the right way. Not a great place to start. But yeah, I think there can come a lot of pressure when you feel like you're disappointing your parents.
That's good.
And even, I know with my parents, I kind of took away their role as a parent in my life when I shut them out because I didn't want to talk to them about what was going on because I felt like, not that they would be disappointed in me, but that they would feel like they hadn't raised me right if I was resulting in all the things that I was. So that was difficult. I think for other people, what could be difficult growing up in a Christian home is just thinking that you were born at the altar and saved and that was enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I might know, but for those who are listening, what do you mean when you say that?
Relying on your parents' faith and kind of piggybacking off of that and never developing the relationship for yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I've seen that a lot. Because I also go to a Christian school, so surrounded a lot by that as well.
It's well said, because I think once you do end up finding your own faith, and I relate very, very much to what you are saying. Grew up in a family who believe in Jesus, and believed past it. No.
We pray.
Yeah. Michelle's going to pray for me right after. But I remember the day where I felt super challenged. It was actually in grade 11. I mentioned a story to you just before we started recording of how I gave my life to God. Also around about 8, and we went to Australia, shared the gospel with this family. Father comes at the end of the evening. My sister and I are asleep, rage or whatever. I go, as a youngster, you're going, well, if I just share the gospel like this, I don't want that to come upon my family. I don't want there to be instant like retaliation towards my family just because somebody gave their life to Christ. And when you're 8, you're like, what the heck? Like, no way. Fast forward a couple of years, God did something special. But I just remember in grade 11 where God was challenging me and saying, like, will you get to know me? You know, you, and it's one of the first times my parents said to me, you don't have to come to church now. You've got to decide, do you want to come to church? And it was life-changing for me. I don't know if you had a similar experience in that regard. Yours could have been a lot earlier on. That was just where it was for me.
Yeah. So there was a time where our parents were like, you guys don't have to come, but we want you to. And we did keep coming. But something that was interesting, when I was 13, COVID obviously happened.
Yes.
So that's when everything moved online. So church was a little bit different then.
Yeah.
And we would watch the sermons together as a family on the Sundays, but not being in any communities or youths. Yeah, wow. I was very disconnected from the Church of Christ. Right.
And what made you feel disconnected?
Well,
obviously you can't see people in community.
I was literally not in community with anyone. It's just me and my TikTok. Screen time during COVID.
Screen time just went up by like 12 hours for everyone during COVID.
No, it was so bad.
That's actually something. Do you know Dr. Caroline Leaf by any chance? Phenomenal neuroscientist. She's from South Africa. One of her biggest concerns when COVID happened was the mental state of the world. She said more than COVID itself, the mental damage and fatigue that will take place far outweighs what COVID is and how it will impact our physical bodies. She was more concerned about the mental state of everyone. And I think a lot of people went through very, very hard times during COVID. And then coming out of COVID, I think felt weird for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I feel like there's still so many chains to be broken.
Sure.
Like, the other day, we were at school and we were just comparing screen times. And I'm pretty good now. Like, mine was, I think, 90 minutes a day, which was...
That's actually very good.
As a teenager.
Hayden, what's your... we got Hayden on a microphone, so go for it, Hayden.
Average for me, I'll say about 5.5 hours a day. Average.
So... You're going to be appalled now. So we looked at everyone else. So I was the lowest. The next lowest was 5.5 hours.
Wow. Okay, you did well. Good job.
Then 7. And then the one girl has 11 hours on average.
I'm trying to think what mine is. Let's see.
Are you about to get shamed?
Mine's 2 hours and 51 minutes. That's not bad.
That's not bad. So
90 minutes is really good.
Thank you.
I just want to put it out there. No, it's true. But I do think, I mean, it's very true, but I do think this is part of, like, in terms of the part we referred to earlier, like, you may grow up in a Christian household, but there are multiple different kind of pulling factors. And I do think, like, this is probably the biggest. 100%. And in the context of school, how do you see this impacting everyone in school? Like, tell us about it.
No, so luckily at my school, we're not allowed to have them on us. We lock them in a little locker in the morning. It's kind of cute. But just actually the psychology of having your phone on you, because I do AP maths, which is outside of school, so we can have them then.
Nice, yeah.
I'm not on my phone, but I'm just aware of the fact that it's on me.
Sure.
It's so distracting. And
yeah.
I feel like, weirdly, people have separation anxiety with their phones.
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
They cannot go anywhere without them. And they'll blame it on the fact, like, oh, I need to call my parents or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, that's not what it's actually going to be used for.
Very true.
So I know my sister made a joke last night. She was like, I think I'm going to get Nokia because I need to get off of this.
Yeah, I know people who do that. So they have their main phone, then they'll like lock it away and just use a Nokia for a period of time. And then when they feel like there's a healthy mental reset and they can lock in without being concerned about getting a message or just needing to check social media.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you're able to acknowledge your limits, you can build your environment around it. But I have to admit, last night I did like a bad doom scroll. It was like 2.5 hours. It was awful. I have a lot of screen time limits on my phone.
Yeah.
I really hope my parents aren't watching this. But on my laptop, I went on Instagram and I just scrolled. And I felt so yucky about myself afterwards. And I think that's like everyone as well. You feel like an absolute blob.
Yeah, you do.
And I just had to I just kept repeating to myself, give yourself grace when you feel like you deserve it the least. And I kept saying that to myself.
That's so good.
And now I'm detoxing for like a month because last night was really bad. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. We also like we went on socials last night, so we had youth and everything. It was last night at youth for me and Hayden, and we just sat down. I think we had dinner. We went to the garage, got something to eat or whatever. They had no Prego rolls, like whack, so whack. Anyway, and then when he went to go get lunch for us earlier, sorry, I'm kind of, it'll come back, but he went to go get lunch for us earlier, and he says, bro, there's no Prego rolls. And then he drops off like samosas or whatever. I'm like, thank you so much. Then we go to get the cappuccinos for us as you arrive.
There's Prego rolls.
There's Prego rolls.
Hayden.
Where were these earlier? And he sends me a picture and he's like, sorry, bro. I think he took a photo from last night, showed me that today. No, just kidding. But anyway, so we were on socials last night. I think like half an hour we were on?
Yeah.
I would say half an hour. I wouldn't say more than half an hour.
And we also watched YouTube before going to bed.
But that's different. We were actually watching Trevor Noah. So we were watching a comedy show, which is a lot better in my opinion because your mind is stimulated at healthy rates as opposed to quick dopamine. So he's not just going on and on. That's what shorts, the danger of TikTok Reels and YouTube Shorts is this constant back and forth to the point where I remember watching, if you haven't watched it, it's called The Social Dilemma. It's phenomenal.
I've watched it.
Okay. Amazing. And it's so good. And so obviously the guys who've created all these things, a couple of them left those companies because they thought what they were doing was ethically wrong. There's the ethics behind it was basically the drug is stronger than actual drugs, which is your dopamine up and down with social media. And so the whole point of it is with TikTok and Reels, that's why you feel so sick. Like after watching a ton, like the doom scrolling is usually not on posts, it's usually on video, right? That's the standard. But like you said earlier, if you don't know your limits, but also if you're not willing to admit your limits or keep someone else in the picture, you're actually deceiving yourself into thinking that you're looking after yourself, which is the hard part. But so basically when you watch a movie and you feel irritable, don't you seen that where someone's like, oh, I want to watch a movie and the movie's showing,
oh, this is bad.
The show's like, that's me. I'm the one picking up my phone. So what one of my friends' parents used to do, she would say, right, all the phones in the basket, should take it, and then would watch Mission Impossible or what, because it was like a Mission Impossible marathon that day. Yeah. I kid you not, 90% of the kids, well, teenagers, had all their phones, and they were just messaging in between the movie, and then you're not actually... So it's like this, I'm sure you've seen it on shorts where they show, like a game and then somebody talking, and it's meant to keep you distracted.
The brain rot. I love
the brain rot, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you literally meant to look at how it's the satisfying, metal crusher of different objects in between, and then you've got like, I don't know, Joe Rogan podcast or Alex O'Connor or someone talking, and it's this powerful thing, but it's not really hitting home. If you think about it, like you're not actually grasping the fullness of what's being shared. You're just being hooked onto the next thing. You're staying for the satisfaction, but they think you're getting the info, but you're not getting the info because you're just drawn into this brain rot kind of doom scrolling experience. Not that you could relate at all, but And listen, I'm in the same boat. Like, that's why.
Yeah.
But yet again, like, unless I set a screen limit, which I actually do have a screen limit, but my trouble is that I need to go, right, I need someone to put in a passcode, because I've been pretty good. But then when you, for instance, you can start making excuses. Like, oh, I need to get stuff for the podcast and da-da-da-da. And then you're like,
My
why am I
favorite
looking at-
excuse is like, oh, I'll stop when it's 8. And then I look at my time and it's
10.
8:02. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't stop
5
now. I have
past
to
8.
wait till 5. Like, I have to wait till a full number, right? Like, that doesn't make any logical sense. But in the moment, it's like, how could I possibly stop on a not
this
a
is
full
so
number?
wrong.
Yeah.
Just the AP math is not.
You're-
It's so funny. But yeah, so you've watched The Social Dilemma, hey?
I have.
What did you think?
It was a long time ago.
Okay, great chat.
No, yeah, I think I agreed. I think it's like, I think there's so much that we're only going to be able to tell in a couple of years, especially
Yeah.
with young people, how it's completely rewired our brain chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Because you almost don't have that grit to go for long-term dopamine when it's so accessible the whole time. So yeah,
Like,
so
that's
difficult.
such a key point, because what I've noticed in youth over the years
Yeah.
is literally that a lack of grit. Like, I'm very seldom am I seeing certain kids stand out where they'll want to give something their all, because they're so used to things being easy.
Yeah.
So they're so used to like an incredible experience on a virtual scale. When it comes to reality and actually challenges them, they're like, no, I'm out. Like, I don't want to get involved. Which is hectic. I think it's going to play what you said is so true. I think it's going to play a bigger role. Like, a good first thing comes to my mind as soon as people get into relationships. What happens when things get difficult or tough or hard? It's like, okay, do you just go? Do you just leave? Like,
yeah.
people don't even want to commit in that regard anymore, which is, well, I say anymore, but I think, yeah, the desire to date is actually the lowest it's ever been. But at the same time, people are looking for it all online. So it's like a weird,
Oh, it's like that desire for intimacy without commitment.
pretty much,
Okay.
literally.
And something else I've like realized, especially about teenagers, on more of your Instagram or Snapchats.
Yeah.
People start to care a lot more about what their life looks like than what it feels like.
Ooh.
So when you're at a social event, like, oh, the girls are going for lunch, everyone smile. And the whole of, like, I've been to lunches where the whole thing was just taking photos. Like, I love a good photo, don't get me wrong, but the whole,
Especially at golden hour.
the whole 90 minutes, 2 hours just spent trying to get that shot, trying to make your life look good.
Wow.
But no one actually wants to go. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't actually anything life-giving from it. And I feel like that almost, so that's one tiny way that plays out. But it even plays out into bigger things with university decisions, or what am I going to do with my life? It's like, what looks good.
Wow.
Because now everyone sees what you're doing. Before social media, you could kind of do your own thing and no one would know what you're doing unless you
Yes.
told people.
Yes. Which was nice, because then when you actually met someone, you could hear all about their life. Whereas now it's
You
like,
stalk them.
you've mentioned stalk a couple of times. What's been your experience? Turns into like a whole crime podcast. Like,
Fun fact, I knew you grew up in Hawaii before you told me. I'm joking.
I didn't even know I grew up in Hawaii. No, just kidding. But that's such a valid point. Whereas like now there isn't the mystery in like terms of getting to know someone. You can meet them once or twice and then just talk them completely, know well what they choose to share. And I think you touched on such a good point. You said you no longer get to have life-giving conversations. I don't think I mentioned it earlier. I mentioned the difference. Hayden, you good, bro? What was that?
What?
I don't know. Something made a big noise. That was weird. Okay. But you mentioned life-giving conversations, right? That's something that I experienced when I was very intentional about putting my phone away, putting screen. I would actually put everything to black and white, so there isn't even a drawer for color. There's, yeah,
I
you know.
don't use it enough.
No, I do. There we go. I need it. Is that a black and white photo? Or is that actually?
No.
Okay.
It's like, Don't get me like that, Stephen.
Mine's got no color. It's like, it's actually my home screen, but anyway. Guess we'll never know. I'll just cut it out. No, I'm just going to go and do that. But life-giving conversations that's why part of why I started this podcast.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I want people to experience pretty much what we're doing right now. Like getting to know one another, have life-giving conversations. And I know the beauty of life-giving conversations is that it genuinely helps other people if they want to listen in. They don't have to, but it's there if they want to, you know. And something that I found really difficult, it sounds hectic, and whatever, it is what it is. But I had really good friends in school, but I didn't necessarily have God-centered friends in school. So yes, people went to a church, and yes, we're all in our own journey. So it's not really judgment. It's just like me noticing, okay, like I'm really good friends with a lot of people, but who are the people that have God as a central person in their life and value in their life, that when we get together and connect, all I can think about is like, wow, I just want to be with that person even more, and then realize, oh, it's because God was the center of that friendship that I want to be with that person frequently, you know. And that's why this whole podcast started. So it was the difference between good versus godly. And that's quite hard to accept sometimes, especially when you have really good friendships. It's not that they're terrible. It's not that they're even bad. It's just like, can we talk about the deeper things?
Yeah, can we talk about the political
Can
and economic state of the world right now?
Go, Michelle, go.
No, I get you, 100%. I've definitely seen that in my life as well. So a little backstory. When I was in grade 1 and like up till grade 4, I had no friends. Like I sat on the step by myself at breaks. Sometimes I walk around the primary school and I will like see the little step that I sat on, and I was like, so sad. Like
trauma.
That kid just needed a hug. My word.
Shame. Yeah. That's such a South African thing to say. Oh no.
Yeah, and I don't know why I didn't have friends. I was so cool, but probably a lot of people used to call me bossy. Now people just say that's leadership. It's crazy how your weakness becomes your skill. But yeah, I didn't have friends, and that's something my mom and I would pray for every night.
Wow.
Can I please have friends? Can I please have friends?
Come on.
And then I got a friend in grade 4. Her name was Uyanda, and we were good friends up till grade 7. And there was different people in between. But
yeah,
I can so see in my walk with God that there were people specifically placed in my life as friends who, if they weren't there, I don't think I'd be able to sit here and talk to you about God today.
Wow.
They were so pivotal in
Yes.
my walk with God. And it's like weird because we'll look back now and we'll be like, why were we friends? Because I was on a very different road. Like, why did you want to be friends with me? And there was just something
because you're so cool. I mean,
something that drew us together. So it's so powerful. And even if I look at the grade 8s now, and there's so much potential in every single one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, you can be amazing.
Yeah.
But I already know out of this group of 100, some of them are going to go astray in high school.
Sure.
Like, there's going to be the ones that end up vaping. There's going to be the ones that end up going out. I can't look at the 100 and tell you which of them is going to be. Like, I can't tell now. Like, there's not these early indicators. And it's just, what the biggest thing it's dependent on is who they choose to be their friends.
Yeah. That's very true. It's very, very true. And it's like a hard reality as well, because sometimes you connect really deeply with someone who isn't a good influence on you.
Real.
Like, oh, that hit the heart. It's hard, especially, don't know what your experience was. Mine was my mom would come up to me and say, yeah, see, same. Are you good?
This was going to happen today.
Just be ready. Is when they come to you and they say, I don't think this person's a good influence on you, and you go, but I connect with them really well.
They're really funny.
They're really funny in class, and I know I should be working.
No, for real. That's for real. I feel like so often a lot of people think that they're gonna influence them in a good way, and then
the missional side of friendship.
The amount that you're gonna try influence someone else, they're gonna have the same effect on you to an extent. So It's difficult. But weirdly, you know how your mom says that's not a good influence on you? That's like my biggest approval that I can get from a parent is if a parent tells their kid that they like me. So I get so nervous meeting any of my friends' parents because I just really want their parents to like me. I feel like that's the ultimate aura.
Yeah, no, it's true. Although it is awkward. I don't know if you've had this happen to you, but the one time I remember, this is long ago, and one of my friend's parents, I used to go to their house like every weekend in primary school. Yeah. And one of the, yes, it was hectic. The parent turned to me and was like, "Why can't you be more like Steve?" It's like, dang. It's like, I feel like I should go. Like this is so bad. And I was just like twiddling my thumbs like, I want to play some PlayStation. Like, oh, do you want to go play soccer? Or yeah, it was really bad. It was really, really bad. And at that stage, you're just so young. You don't really know how to process that with your friend, except you feel bad that they don't feel good anymore. And it's like, you know, like, so it's awesome to be a great influence. It's terrible if comparison is brought into the picture, which is, I think that's where the robbery of friendships that could have gone far longer end up, you know, losing their richness, which is kind of sad.
No, I see that. Have you ever struggled with comparison?
Good question. Never.
Next one.
Next. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm human, of course. I've definitely struggled with comparison. I don't think I've struggled with it like super deeply though.
Okay.
And the reason I haven't is because my mom would say to me growing up, we saw this in a gala, this one guy just completely built like Dwayne The Rock wannabe Johnson, and his breaststroke was like sub 30 for 50 meters, just phenomenal, okay? And I was on a relay team with him for freestyle, and my mother comes up to me and she just says in my ear, she says, "My boy, he's a talented young man." And he was a matric. I was in grade 8. And she says, he's a talented young man, but he's extremely prideful. And he walks around very cocky, very arrogant, but I commend him on his ability, but he's not the type of person I want you to become. So she just said to me, if there's one thing I don't want you to ever be is prideful. Let me tell you, that ended up becoming such a battle in my life, because I think when you do end up becoming a sports achiever, what puffs up? Oof. You know, it's the pride side. And something I learned from Michael Todd actually was the only way to beat comparison is to celebrate other people. It's the only way to beat comparison. And when I see comparison, we've heard it before, comparison is the thief of joy. And so when I compare myself to a friend of mine, I'm putting a shovel in between the two of us and starting to create a bit of a gap. And why would I do that? Like, God doesn't do that. He doesn't compare us to one another. He loves every single person. So yeah, I haven't quite dealt with it deeply. The temptation to linger on it has been there, and there have definitely been moments where I have, but I also ended up losing one of my closest friends when I was younger because of comparison, because they ended up putting us head to head in soccer, and we were the two best players on the team, and then we were never allowed to play on the same team. Because if we did, we'd actually beat everyone else. Like, it would be like 2v7 and we'd still win because we just had such good, you know, chemistry in the game. But that's me. What about you? Have you struggled with comparison? And
yeah, and I think actually more to do with your point of pride, because people often talk about comparison like insecurity. Yes. But for me, it was like a form of validation. Come on. And I only realized this actually when I started journaling, because I would read back and see my thought patterns.
Oh yeah, that's such a good point.
So when someone else achieved something, I'd always be like, "Oh, that's so good, but I've got this."
Yeah,
or I've got that.
Yeah.
And I started to look at those things. I was like, okay, what are those things that I'm actually saying, "Oh, I've got this"? Yeah. And there were like 3 kind of buckets, I would say, of like where this, okay, if they've got that, then I've got this. So if they've got that, I've got that. And And it would always be my mechanism of saying, okay, they're cool, but I'm fine. Wow. And what's dangerous about that is you're going to walk into a room one day where you don't have it, and they do. So it's not a healthy place to get your validation from.
Absolutely.
So that started to happen, and then your self-esteem starts to break down, and that's when you realize it doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's such a good... Did you find that when you would go back and read what you had written, so like you start to notice that as a kind of experience when writing in your journal?
Yeah, so how I journal, like I started journaling in grade 8 or 9. So just write down like everything that I'm thinking, and I'd kind of treat it as a prayer. And then I'd read it back, and I'd slowly start to realize like there's your brain kind of works like a computer, like if then.
If
this happens then, and it's like reoccurring thoughts. When this is thought, then this thought happens.
Got you.
And I started to think, like, identify the algorithms behind my thoughts. What an interesting analogy I'm using here. So yeah, that's what I realized it. And there's this quote, which I don't know who I'm gonna attribute it to. Maybe
go for it.
I think it's in a Josiah Queen song, so I'm gonna attribute it to Josiah Queen.
Sweet.
Pride is something you struggle with all your life, and the moment you think you don't have it, that's when it's won. Something like that.
Boom.
Yeah,
it's so true. There's such a domino effect of this from what you're saying, like in the context of, like, I think it's phenomenal. Firstly, I don't think, unless you have a friend who can come and say to you, hey, I think you're being a bit arrogant or cocky or prideful. Firstly, that's why you need to have godly friends.
Yeah.
Not just good friends, because good friends will somewhat inflate your pride when it's for good things, such as sports, or like if you're going to win in a team instance or whatever. And I also think there is a healthy level of being proud of what you do, but you don't base your value on that level, you know. So it's quite intense, because the follow-up from that, the domino, is we start to, if that's the case, like if we're prideful because of what we've done, what happens when it comes to our walk with Christ?
No, that's good. Yeah.
Where, don't know if anyone's tried this, but if you try and live out the law and you realize how much you fall every single time, but the reason you're trying to live it out isn't because you're trying to please God, or it might be, but it's more so that you can say, I did it.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the place of going, I can't do it, that's where God says, I can work with that.
Yeah.
You know, that, I don't know about you, that's been the biggest game changer for me in my walk with Christ, has been, oh wow, like he chose me before I could ever choose him. Like he's loved me before I could ever love him back. He died on a cross not knowing if half the world would ever choose him, you know, like, and I have the audacity to say, oh, I'm a good Christian, and because I'm good, like I deserve. There's that whole pride thing again. It just pops up again and again and again.
So that comes from like first having a revelation of how faulty you are, you know? And
Yes, I know. Steve was pretty terrible.
No, this is like actually something I've been thinking through a lot recently, like especially with because I do quite a few devotions at my school.
Yeah.
There's a certain message that we always try to get across to people, is that God loves them. But until they've had that revelation of how faulty they are, that means nothing.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
I feel like that's what we're missing a lot in the messages, because everyone wants encouragement, everyone wants refreshment. No one wants to be held up with the mirror of the law. Yeah. But yeah. And I think I even started challenging myself with this recently, because I feel like I'd lost the touch of how big of a deal it actually is that Jesus died on the cross. Like, let's not get over that.
Massive, but
I know. But I feel like I lost the revelation of that. So I just started thinking about reflecting on, okay, how have I sinned? And I was like, okay, let me think this past week. And I could think of 2 things. So, okay, that's a problem. We need to get into that. Like, I just took grace for granted, and I never took time to consider how much I needed it, because I wasn't reflecting on how much I was actually doing wrong. Because,
it takes humility to look at what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
You know, because pride assumes that you've always done it right. And so to analyze and go, okay, like what am I actually doing wrong? And then you kind of have to have something to equate that to, in the context of like, what is the standard? And then you look at the laws and you go, okay, cool. And then you read like Jesus in the New Testament, and he's like, if you so look at a woman lustfully, you've slept with her, you've sinned. If you so hate your brother, you've committed murder.
Go gorge your eyes out.
Yeah, like literally, like, and well, okay, not literally, but the point he's trying to make is, I look at the heart, and you can do good deeds with selfish ambition. That in itself is sin.
Yeah.
So that's like super confronting, because then you go, oh wait, even what I deemed as good in my own eyes, if I hold it up against or with what Jesus said, I fall short every single time. That's very sobering.
Yeah. But yeah, like trying to get people to, or even yourself, to a place to be able to acknowledge that is so difficult. I remember in grade 10 I had a conversation with a friend, a life-giving conversation. And I just felt like she was really on my heart, because I could see that she was getting to a crossroad where she had to make a choice. Like she was living half in, half out, and you can't do that for very long. And I was like, what's holding you back from God? And the way she explained it to me, she was actually like, I like sin.
Yeah.
Like I like cussing, I like drinking, and Christianity has made that not cool, and I don't want to give that up.
Sure.
And she was
just open and honest.
Yeah, she's able to acknowledge that, which was pretty brave of her.
I think that's amazing.
But she wasn't able to realize the destruction that it was causing. So she didn't have the revelation of how she needed the grace for it, if that makes sense. I don't know.
It does.
And I think it's almost like there's a big culture in youth now where there's a very big stereotype of what it looks like to be a Christian. And there's a lot of things that are just completely banned and off the table and like satanic. And it puts
Sorry, I just laughed at how you said that. Sorry.
It puts a lot of people off. And I personally have strong values about certain things, but I think especially the way we treat conversations around alcohol, a lot of people feel ashamed.
Right.
And then they just don't even want to get in. Like, they don't want to go to Christ because then they're going to have to give up that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a bit more? Like, when it comes to alcohol, what's your stance on it? Like, you know, like, and what, when I say stance, you don't necessarily have to talk about where you stand, because I think it's pretty clear, but maybe not for anyone who's listening, to just get sloshed. I mean, to not have, but for you, what do you think is like the stigma behind it? Like, why do you think it's, do you feel like it's not spoken about enough? Or do you think like it's made very clear, but there's no kind of open door to talk about it?
So I think it's like spoken about without context.
Okay.
Because it's never fully addressed. It's not like anyone gets up in assembly and says, don't drink.
Wait, you guys didn't get that? No, I'm just kidding.
It's more like you just see people very strongly living these values, and it's never explained why they live these values.
Got you.
And yeah, there's just never really a conversation about it. So
yeah. Do you feel like it is more so don't do it because we've said, as opposed to here's the reason behind why we don't do it?
Yeah. It's also like the big disconnect between there's people who are Christian and there's people who read their Bible. And there's
and what would you say is the difference between the two?
Like, would be the understanding of why they don't do it. So a lot of people just don't drink, but they don't actually even know why they don't. And there's just so much shame associated with it.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to, like within youth. And then you've got people, like I know we've had youth leaders who they dabbled in a little bit and then they try to hide it, and it makes it even more difficult to address if it's never spoken about.
That's so true. And talk about life-giving conversations, it's come up a lot. But part of having a life-giving conversation is admitting where you really are.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. You don't, and you won't admit where you really are if you do not feel safe. And the safety can only come from a genuine soul that cares more about you than what you do. Does that make sense? So obviously they care about you because obviously that would lead into what you do, but what you've done doesn't prohibit them from loving you where you're at.
Yeah. But see, I understand that, but then when I think about when I was going through difficult times, my parents loved me more, and I still wasn't able to talk about it with them.
And it's a really good point. Do you want to go down that road?
Okay.
So, when it comes to being a safe space, you said it earlier, people don't explain why they don't drink. And I don't think people can be safe spaces until they know why they need to be a safe space.
Okay.
In every sphere. So what I mean by that is sometimes the human thing to do is to reject what we don't understand.
Yeah.
Unless you have a pursuit to understand.
Okay.
So when it comes to safety and feeling comfortable, and I've had this with one or two of my friends, Hayden, shout out to Hayden, being one of them, he's like, bro, and and I've had this in my life, so it's not about Steve, it's just the principle, but he says to me, bro, I just feel safe around you, feel like I can tell you anything. And I have the same thing. I've got a friend named Billy who's been like a mentor and older brother to me, and I just know I can tell him absolutely anything. My deepest, darkest moments, my current struggles, because I don't think Christians talk about that enough, is the current struggle, not what I struggled with back then.
Yes.
What I'm struggling with right now, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that God meets us in that moment. Like, we forget that God is for that. You mentioned earlier, like, grace. Grace is for the moment I feel I deserve it the least. That's why it's called grace. It's not meant to be, and yes, it can be, but I mean, forgiveness is there 100%, but grace, it's in those low moments that it is valued even more. When Jesus talks about, who do you think appreciated forgiveness more? I'm paraphrasing, but the one who was in debt for like 1,000 versus the one who was in debt for 10,000. It's in one of the four Gospels, and he essentially says, and Peter says, well, the one who was in debt for 10,000, absolutely. So it was only when that person understood how much more in debt he was that he appreciated that much more. And then when you experience it for yourself, you can be that for others.
Yeah.
Kind of answered, but kind of went into something new there. But in the context of your journey, coming back to that, where have you felt safe?
I don't know, different phases for different things. So friends have sometimes been challenging because okay, so for example, this, I don't know how else to explain this, but my one friend, she said something once one day where she was like, I think it's so selfish if anyone would commit suicide. She said something like that.
Sure.
And I later on battled with suicidal thoughts. So like, I just never felt like I could bring that to her because it was like,
Because she mentioned
you're
some
gonna think I'm
things
selfish. So friends, like, it's almost like unintentional. Like, it's not like they didn't know they weren't creating a safe space, but you just felt like you were going to be judged.
Very good point.
My sister has been a safe space for me, definitely more recently, in the recent years. But I don't know. What about you?
Yeah. Well, Bill, the guy I mentioned earlier, he's been a massive safe space for me.
Bill?
Billy.
Who's Bill?
The guy I mentioned earlier, you know how I said I've been that for Hayden, and then I said I've got a friend named Billy. He's been like an older brother.
Okay.
So Bill, that's Bill. And he's been a safe space for me. But I also know what it's like not to have a safe space in certain struggles. So, for instance, like when it's a good example. So I went to Bill and I was like, bro, let's take alcohol, for example. Struggling with alcohol, like, what do I do? And how do I handle this? Cool. But sometimes you feel safe to talk about different struggles with different people.
Yeah.
And I had a similar experience to you in the context of suicidal thoughts. Because I think we've mentioned this, or you know this, but I mean, that was me 4 or 5 years ago, where I literally almost committed suicide. And it's kind of crazy to think about it now. But back then, obviously, when you're in your own mind, it's just, it all makes sense in your own mind in the worst possible way. Not saying that you're terrible if you're thinking like that, but the battle of it, I'm trying to say, is very much real. And my mother would say the same thing. So my mom would say, you know, suicide is the most selfish thing you could do, because you're not thinking about your family, you're not thinking about your friends, you're not thinking about the people that you're leading or you're leaving behind.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when you know all of that, but you still feel like you need to leave?
I relate so much.
You know, and yeah, I mean, it's funny you bring that up, because that was part of what I got to share last night with the youth, was how in that moment the only person that could console my soul was the Holy Spirit. It wasn't a physical person, it was the presence of God, where I was literally at the cliff to jump, and this cloud descended out of nowhere. But not out of nowhere. I said, God, I need you to show up now. Like, everything in me is saying, I need you to show up now, otherwise this is over. Like, I'm not threatening you, I'm not trying to wave my fist at you, but I'm so desperate for your presence. I'm so desperate for what we've been talking about, the life-giving, like where my soul is alive. Because I'm too afraid to talk about it to anybody else. And everyone that I know I can trust thinks it's selfish. So what do I do?
Yeah.
And in that moment, like, this cloud came down out of nowhere. Like, I mean, Lachelle, I couldn't even see a floodlight 20 meters away from me. That's how thick this cloud was. And I just started sobbing and crying and sobbing. And I just said, like, you see me, I know, I can feel your presence again. It was like you can't breathe, and all of a sudden, all this air, it's like you just don't know what to do. And I actually took my phone out and shone, and I could see the beams of light dimming, getting less, so until a certain point, and then they stopped. That's how thick it was. And all I could think of was of the cloud that descended on the temple when Moses and the Israelites were traveling in the wilderness, and they were led by a pillar of fire and a cloud. And there was a moment where Joshua's with Moses, but it says Joshua stays behind because he's in the presence of God. And all of this is going off in my mind and heart when this is happening. And that's when I realized the safest space I could ever be is with the Holy Spirit. It is the safest place I could possibly be, because to put it quite clearly, there was no cloud like before. It wasn't like it was a cloudy night. There's no, like, scientifically, if you want like literal facts, there was no wind, there was no cloud, there was no condensation. You know, but he met me in that moment.
Yeah.
And so, if there's one thing I've learned, is that when you experience that, you also know that you don't have to be Jesus to everyone else. You just point them to him.
That's good.
You don't need to be you can provide a safe space if they choose it. But ultimately, you need to point to the one who creates that safe space, which is him. And so, to answer that question, for that specific instance in my life, I still didn't even tell my parents until I preached at Synergy.
Surprise!
You know, and here's the crazy part. I wasn't even going to share it to everyone.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And at that, we're literally ending. And I feel God tell me, go. Like, you need to share this now. Afterwards, I had 3 atheists, 2 people who were about to commit suicide. One of them was that night, and they decided to come to Synergy. And they said, I don't know what that was, but something was triggered in my spirit. Last night, I shared the same thing at youth. And people came up to me afterwards, and they're like, and we're talking about everyone between the ages of 14 and 18.
Yeah.
And the presence of God, it ties in. Once you've experienced Him, you bring Him to other people, and you go, here's the person who saved my life. He's not just someone who saved our lives back on a cross 2,000 odd years ago. He saved my life 4 years ago, 2 weeks ago, last night, tonight. Like, this is the person that I've given my life to. That's also something that didn't make sense to me. It's like how I've given my life to Him, but I feel like giving up my life.
Yeah. So something I just thought about sharing as you were talking.
Go for it.
So that same friend who had said that thing, after I was able to work through it, I like shared that with her because it was a very good friendship. And weirdly, so this happened like beginning of grade 8, end of grade 7. In the middle of grade 9, what I thought I'd been delivered from came back.
Wow.
And it was confusing because before this, I'd rejected Christ. And then I accepted Christ back, and I was like, okay, wait, now all these feelings are gone, yay! And then it didn't make sense because then 1.5 years later, I was feeling the same way again, but I've got God. So it's like, what? This doesn't make sense. And her parents are pastors. And I actually spoke to her parents about it, which was, I was walking on the beach with them, I remember. And they said something to me that just really helped me make sense of everything at the time. And it was, to remove the storm would be to remove the calling on your life. And I think that's with no matter what you're struggling with, like as you're saying, like it doesn't make sense why you would want to give up your life, but it's the spiritual warfare of
that's it.
The devil knows how many lives are going to be in heaven because of what God's going to work through with you.
So good.
And He's trying to take you out before that.
Yeah.
So, that was definitely something that's helped me through that time. And then there's another thing I was thinking about. So when you were saying you asked God to show up for you and He did. So something I've been thinking about a lot recently is like when people seek God wholeheartedly and they don't find Him and what that looks like. And I was reading this verse yesterday. I don't remember where it was.
Somewhere in the Bible.
And I'm definitely paraphrasing. But it was like Jesus saying that only an adulterous generation would ask for a sign. The sign that I've given you is Jonah and the whale, and that, and then so basically the sign is that Jesus died on the cross for us. And I was trying to make sense of that because I feel like a lot of people get to a point in their faith journey where they're like, okay, I need to know that this is true. God, give me a sign, and they don't get it. And it's like God, He can show up. Like He literally has the power to.
100%.
Why doesn't He? And I'll share my thoughts on that, but I'd also like to hear yours.
I would love to hear yours first because I felt like I spoke for a little while earlier.
No, I love your yap sessions.
Thanks. I love the adjective of yap. It's great.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first, and then I'll grab my thoughts.
So, when a lot of people mean a sign, they can sometimes mean like a physical sign. Like, but for what that looked like in my life, a sign was answers. Like I had questions and they needed answers. And I was like, if you can answer this, I'm all yours. And I was reading a book recently and it was explained like this. And it's actually such a funny analogy. So imagine you marry this woman, okay? You get married now. And
What type of woman are we talking? No, it's good.
let's name her Stacy.
Okay, Stacey.
And you go to Stacy one day and you're like, when we got married, you pledged to fulfill all my romantic needs. And I have determined that my next romantic need is your friend Katie. Please give me her phone number.
Oh my word. Okay, cool.
And it's like, no, obviously Lucy's not going to be happy about that. That doesn't make
Lucy?
sense. Oh, that's your wife. Oh, Stacy.
Stacey. There's another girl involved. Hayden, what is going on here? Dude?
Sorry, Steven's popular with the ladies.
I'm loyal to Stacey.
My bad.
All the
Stacy's
girls
not
want
going to
Steve.
be... Stacey's not going to be happy. And it's the same...
Now she's got that. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to sing that song. Do you know which song?
Stacey's mom.
Stacey's mom.
Okay, wait, no, focus.
Stacey, my wife. Yes.
Yes,
Let's go.
she's not going to be happy. And it's the same when we come to Christ
Mm.
and we ask him for things that he was supposed to fulfill within us. It's like we're being adulterous.
Wow.
So when you're asking for something that's going to take the place of God in your life, and it's obviously he's not going to say yes.
Yeah.
So
You would think it would be obvious.
yeah, but so for me that was like answers.
Mm.
That was going to become my God if he gave them to me.
That's so powerful, Michelle. It really is. Because in the same breath, how you mentioned where Jesus, it's also very contextual to that chapter and what he's saying. But the truth of what you're saying remains. But there's also the other side where Gideon's saying, God, Gideon was one of the warriors in the Bible. And he's like, God, I'm going to put this fleece out and it needs to be drenched in the morning. Otherwise, I don't believe you're with me.
I know.
And then it's drenched. Firstly, everyone would love that, to have like overnight drenched, right?
Yeah.
This guy has the audacity to ask again. So, Lord, if that really was you, after he had just asked him, right? If that really was you, can you just do it again, except reverse it, make it dry?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you got two miracles. Like, I'm out here just want one, you know?
Yeah.
There's that comparison thing again. Anyway, and so...
Wow.
Yeah, like there we go. So we just do it anyway. And so the point is like, it depends on the motivation of your heart. Why do you want to sign? You know, so is the sign, and I think it's a matter of like, is your whole heart with pure motive? So sometimes you can give your whole heart to something, but it's not in a pure pursuit.
Okay, yeah.
You know, whereas I'll just take my life, for example. My pure pursuit was him. It wasn't so that I could stay alive. I was hungry for his presence. Not that it was absent before, but I needed something deeper than what I experienced before because I longed for more relationship with him. And obviously a whole bunch of, it's just way too long of a story to get into, but a whole bunch of other contributing factors as to how, because that happens. You don't just wake up and feel suicidal. You know, like if you do, that's probably a mental thing. You should like go to, it's like, you know, a clinic or whatever to get checked out, or pray and get healed. You know, that's a real thing too. But the point is like the motivation is very pure. Whereas I think sometimes people are like, I'm asking God, but like you've said, he's given you the answers. But then I also think like God does answer when you just want him, if that makes sense. So it's not you want a thing, you want him. He is your everything, you know? And because then you can kind of think of it like this. If God gives you that thing, does that thing take you away from him? You know, does that become your new God? Like you mentioned earlier, like does that become your new God? But when you're saying, God, I need you to show up. I want you. I mean, think of Elijah and the prophets of Baal, where he's like, you worship all your gods? Okay, cool. Maybe he like starts taunting them. He's like, maybe he's at the toilet, you know, in the heavens or whatever. You know, like,
Elijah was
burn.
such a
you know?
baddie.
Like, yeah, literally. It's like, and he just calls once, and it's like instant aura of like, like, you know, it's just crazy. And it's like, well, his motive was, I'm going to show you who God is. That was a healthy pride / being proud of the fact that I am submitted to the one true God, as opposed to God, I really need you to do this to show up so I don't look like a fool. It's like, no, you're not insulting me, you're insulting him, and he will show up for him because I'm in relationship with him.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a subtle difference between the two. But in saying that, I'm not trying to discredit someone who maybe has sought something wholeheartedly. But I think it's learning the motivations between that wholehearted pursuit.
Mm. It's like a weird tension.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to unanswered prayers, where you living in between your expectation of God and the reality of Him.
Yeah.
It's like it's confusing because there's verses in the Bible. It's like ask and you'll receive, and then you pray for something. Like, let's say, example, you pray for healing, and it's like, why not?
Yeah.
God. It's a thing that it's like a tension that I think we live in our whole life.
What do you think about the story of Job?
It's a very, very interesting story.
It's a tough one.
I really like that story for many reasons. My favorite thing
Please
about the
share your
story is
thoughts,
actually in the beginning when the opposer is talking to God. I find that's like a really interesting dynamic that the opposer can directly communicate with God. I thought that was cool. But I think, that comes back to like Job never knew the reason for his struggle. He never knew the conversation that happened between the opposer and God.
Yeah.
And he went through hell. Like,
it's pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like so much about our life. We'll never know why it happens until we get to heaven one day.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Multiple things, but I was just asking about like in terms of like when you're seeking wholeheartedly and stuff, and then things it ties into a conversation we've had before, which is like, why do good things happen to bad people? You know, and I feel like the book of Job is such an applicable point of conversation because Job did nothing wrong.
He didn't.
In the eyes of God, he was righteous. And like you mentioned, he had no idea about the conversation the opposer had with God. But
when I think about Job, like reading the book of Job, there's all those long speeches.
Yes.
And I think what that shows is that nothing is lost if your relationship with God is gained, if that makes sense. And I'm even living this a little bit now on a very small scale with my knee injury because I'm devastated about the fact that I can't play hockey. It's something I've worked like 12 years at, and this is my peak, and now I can't represent Kira like I want to. And it's like, why? Why did that have to happen? Why did my knee have to cop out like that? And something that I've been learning through the process is that I haven't figured out a way to articulate this correctly, but the only people who deserve something is if they are grateful for it. Like, that's what not qualifies you, but when you're grateful for a blessing, that's what makes you deserve it in that sense. So I'm like just grateful for the fact that I got to play hockey, and learning that lesson through this injury has made nothing last because I've gained that.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense. And what about those who would find that hard? I would say disagree, but find that hard to comprehend. Like, how could you be grateful in such a time as like you're about to play your peak? Like, why do you feel like nothing is gained in that regard?
Nothing is gained.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So even in your loss, something's gained.
Yeah.
So you're saying through gratitude,
yes,
you're grateful that you have been able to play.
Yes. Okay.
So, but someone might say, okay, but it still sucks. You still can't play.
It still sucks. It definitely. I was crying about this last night. That's why I was doom scrolling, bro. I needed to numb the pain. It definitely still sucks, but I feel like, what's it called? There's Paul always writes about this, and it's so nice to read about it when you're going through a season of blessing, and when you're actually like living it, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But you rejoice in your weakness because that's when God's strength is made perfect.
Mm.
And I think, there's this weird quote that's playing on my mind right now, and I don't remember how it goes, but it's something like, you can lose anything, but just make sure you don't lose the Lord.
Wow.
And that's just something that I'm feeling right now. Because it's also like, I can be ungrateful, but my knee's still going to be sore. Like, it doesn't change.
Being ungrateful doesn't help.
Yeah. So, I'm learning.
I feel like gratitude reveals purpose as well. But when you're not grateful, you actually forsake, in a way, I feel like you could forsake an opportunity to learn, which could turn into wisdom, essentially, because it's all about self, woe is me, which is real. It's not that that's not real, but then, like, what happens when you're healthy and then someone else goes through that? You're able to speak into their life and show them the best way to go through it, as opposed to, when that happened to me, it sucked, and I just doom scrolled all night.
Do not recommend.
Do not recommend. Felt like a blob.
Yeah.
No,
I get that. It's actually reminding me something of, like, I'm quite a goal-oriented person. And something that I've realized recently is the goals that I set, it's actually not about achieving them. It's about who I become in the process of achieving them.
Yeah, so good.
And I think that's even with things that we go through. It's actually not about the event. It's about who we're becoming in the process of it.
Yeah.
So you can neglect that, but then you're not doing anyone any favors.
Yeah. That's very, very good. Very, very good. I think that's also how what God is trying to remind us of. You know, how he says, like, in the word it says you'll be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and you're becoming something. Not to reach something, it's the joy of becoming something, and that there's always more. And it's kind of like the pride quote, the moment you think you don't have it, you realize.
That's when there's a problem.
Exactly. And one of the biggest, what do they call it? I can't exactly remember what the term is, but it's like winner's depression or something like that. It's
okay.
But it's like when you spend a whole season or multiple seasons, and let's say you win, you know, like the NBA or the World Cup, or it's like this big moment. A lot of athletes feel depressed afterwards. It's like this, like, random kind of slot where you feel depressed because now you've reached the very thing you've worked so hard for. And if your entire pursuit of it was just to get to that thing, the thing isn't bad, but if it was purely for that thing and not reflecting on who you've grown to become in that process, it's a whole lot less fulfilling. And then what ends up happening is you have that identity crisis again. It's like, well, now, who am I? Like, what am I doing? Who am I without this? Now that I stop, I've become known as a football legend. Like, can I transition out of this space because everyone knows me as this? And it can kind of like perpetuate essentially. Which is, it's such a good thing to focus more on who you're becoming than what you're achieving.
I feel that, so fun fact, I'm quite an academic. A nerd, you could say. And I've never enjoyed prize givings. And people always like, what? That's your moment to shine, girl. You're going to go up there, turn a little light bulb in, get your trophies. And it's because it just reminds me of, like, how empty all of that is. It's like, all of that for this? Like, this means nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just feels like, ugh, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel that a lot as well. And I think this is almost what we were saying earlier with, like, the social media where people design their lives to be in the approval of others. I don't think enough people, when they're young, have defined what success looks like to them.
Yeah.
And they end up chasing the definition of success for other people.
Yeah.
And then when they get that, it's like, what?
100%. Or at least it's not a healthy definition of what success is.
Yeah. Is that my phone?
I think, is that my phone?
Oh, it's my daddy calling.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, she's talking about you. Let me turn that off. Oh, man.
Everything all good?
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Wait, let's just take our time. Let's just see how we're doing. Wow, we're an hour and 22 minutes in.
Damn, we can yap, bro.
Yeah, we can. But I think it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. Trying to think, where do we go now?
The world is your oyster.
The world is my oyster. Where would you like to go?
Well, one of the interesting questions that I saw when I briefly skimmed through what you
Yes,
sent me
yeah.
20 minutes before we started, can I just say? This was all improv, guys.
I'm leaving the country. There is a lot going on right now.
I know. You could have just at least chat GPT'd something for me.
That's a whole other conversation.
Oh!
A whole other conversation. I'll use it as a tool, not to do my work.
Okay, no, I approve.
If it complements my work, it's great. But if it does my work, it's a problem. And that hottie agrees.
So good, Stephen. No, I feel that.
Because doctors nowadays, we're just going to hear hottie in the background all the time. One of my cousins is studying to be a doctor right now, and she's just telling me like it's hectic. A lot of the people are using ChatGPT to write their stuff. And doctors, bro. So you better check who your doctor is.
Stay healthy, guys.
Just ask them to write an essay for you, not...
See if they use M dashes, and then you'll know.
Yeah, oh my word. Anyway, side story. One time a student used it and they forgot that a prompt was within the essay. So I went, yeah, no, you failed. Like this is all. You haven't said this word in like the whole year, so it's not you. If you're gonna use it smartly.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. What was your thing?
So the question that drew me when I was skimming over them was like, why were you drawn to atheism and not other world religions?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to go into that or not. So
I'm an open book today.
You're an open book today.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe. For context, the reason I put that question in is because of your life journey. So maybe we can take as long as we want, because I'm away and I've got all the time to edit, so it's fun. Because I think your story will really touch a lot of lives. And it's not like it's all on you, but I believe that through you and through Christ, like it will reach people. So maybe in the context of like, why did you choose atheism over other religions? Firstly, what led you there? Or you could even let's leave it there. What led you to that point, and then what changed? And you can fill in everything.
No.
Like it's super chilled. I'm here to absorb everything.
Cut. Okay. So I think I touched on this earlier. Like, I think naturally you go through a phase where you just want to rebel against whatever you've been contained to believe, I guess, or you naturally start to question things. And I am generally quite a curious person, wanting to understand the why about things and not just the what.
Yeah.
Even now in maths and physics, why? It's the worst question I can ask my teachers. And so I got to a point in grade 7 where something was just like not sitting right with me, like it's just not adding up, as I started to challenge my faith. And I think a big part of that is I was asking the wrong people the questions.
Oh wow.
So I would firstly ask my friends who were also just 13-year-olds, didn't really have relationships with God. They weren't talking about the political economic state of the world, that's for sure. So
that's the third mention.
I know, it's my favorite thing to talk about. So they didn't really know what they were saying. So then I shifted to challenging my teachers, but my intention for challenging them was like to catch them out, not to actually get an answer.
Wow, yeah.
So my pursuit there was not earnest, as we were saying. And I did catch them out occasionally. So then I was like, wait, I'm right. I'm like onto something here. And then
I went poking with the stick, just like, come on, man.
I don't make you look stupid. And
sorry for every teacher who had to answer to
I publicly apologize for that if I humiliated you in a bunch of 13-year-olds. So then I went through, in grade 7 when COVID started. I was part of that. It was Dr. Leaf. She was probably concerned about me. My mental health.
I was the one she was talking about.
Yeah, no. My mental health went down. The doom scrolling definitely increased that as well. And I just got to a place of complete numbness. Like I couldn't feel anything.
Right.
It's almost like, especially when you're scrolling so much, you build up the dopamine resistance.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you build up the resistance to feeling anything.
Or to only feel what you're consuming as well.
Yeah. And I think this is actually, I'm going to sidetrack you for 1 second.
Please go for it.
So this is actually why I cut out secular music recently. is because although like necessarily what I was watching wasn't necessarily bad, what I'm listening to isn't necessarily bad. It's just you have to think about what people are consuming in order to generate the content that they're making, and the
I'm so happy you're saying this.
Yeah. So,
and he knows why. You're literally touching on a whole conversation that we've had multiple times, but keep going. It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially in music, because
yeah,
devil is the angel of music. So I think that was a big thing as well. Is like there wasn't I wasn't watching something inherently wrong, but I think what people were consuming in order to generate what I was consuming was not stuff I would want to be watching. So I had that different types of influence, completely unplugged from the church. I mean, I'd watch the sermons.
Yeah.
I don't read my Bible. No ways. Not when there was TikTok to watch. So, yeah, I think it's not like I woke up one day and I was like, atheism. It was like chipping away slowly. And it was, I think also like that time, there was a huge movement of new atheism.
Sorry, I'm getting a call right now.
Is it your dad as well?
Unless you consider Nick my dad. For clarification, Nick's not my dad.
What was I saying?
You were
There was a
slowly
move
chipping
of
away,
new.
yes.
There was this move of new atheism online,
Right.
which completely drew me because this was the thing, you know, evolution, all of that. So I also liked the fact that I felt like I was smarter than everyone else around me, because I was like, I've had this revelation that you guys have not. You guys are all
catch up.
You guys are all indoctrinated. I loved using that word.
Indoctrinated, yeah.
Yes. I don't think God even knew what that means. Anyways, that gives you a bit like of an insight of where I was. I was
ready.
Oh my word, I was an absolute rage baiter. I cannot even explain it. I was fighting for trans rights at my school when we didn't even have any trans kids. Like, what? Why?
Bro, I didn't even know
I
that.
wanted a gender neutral bathroom. I was like, guys, we have to do this. And I'm for who?
Shout out to your parents, man. I can't even imagine.
No, they didn't know.
Mr. and Mrs. Bester. I'm praying for you.
Yeah. And then, so, yeah, no, it was lucky depressing.
That's crazy. So they had no idea.
I was having a double laugh. And then, what I did is, one day at school, we had to write an essay for something. I forgot the topic. And I went home, and it was like the night before it was due, and I hadn't written it yet. And ChatGPT didn't exist yet. So I low-key just poured out my feelings in this essay. And I wrote about my suicidal thoughts.
Whoa.
I don't know why. That was probably one of the worst. Well, it wasn't a worst decision, but it felt like an awful decision.
Yeah.
And also, like, the teacher, my English teacher, was like, I didn't really know him. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. I think in my mind, I was like, if I write this, he has to give me 100%. Because there's no way you can read.
Talk about guilt tripping.
There's no ways you can read that a kid's depressed and then, not give them a good mark. Like, do you want to be their 13th reason? Come on.
The 13th reason, oh Lord.
And then I got called in.
Oh, seriously? Oh, how did this go?
Not by that teacher, by another teacher. Because
Did they read it?
He'd shared the essay, and I'd explicitly said in my essay, please do not share this with anyone.
First mistake.
Sus.
You can have a 14th read.
Yeah. And that was like, it was a very uncomfortable conversation. I don't even remember what was said there, but it was just, I know they were very concerned about me.
Absolutely.
And I just begged them. I was like, okay, please do not tell my mom. Like, please do not tell my mom. They told my mom. And that's how my parents found out.
Wow.
So that was a difficult thing to work through, because they obviously realized that they hadn't been the safe space that they thought that they were. Not that they'd done anything intentionally wrong. It was just...
That's hard.
It's difficult.
Can I jump in here? It's kind of what we chatted about before the pod, which is it's very confronting for a parent to find out, like I mentioned, same when it's kind of funny, both feeling those suicidal thoughts and feelings, like my mom couldn't believe it. But one thing that the parent is confronted with is a whole lot of shame and guilt in that moment where your child doesn't want to be here anymore. And the fact that they don't know about it plays on their mind way more than we realize. Like way more, but we have no idea because we're sucked in the middle. Like it's all about us. That's the kind of like the black hole of suicidal thoughts, and they, in their minds, they've done and are still trying to do their absolute best to safeguard us, to protect us. And I know my mom felt terrible, but just wanted to add on. So
yeah, you only really realize that in the aftermath.
Yes.
And I think
100%.
That's why when I went through it a second time, I was like, I can't break them like this again.
Yeah.
Like I know it just like I know that everything I feel they feel 10 times more.
Yeah.
Because I'm their loved one.
Yeah.
And what I ended up doing is removing their role as a parent in my life, which I shouldn't have done.
Sure.
Like I should have allowed them the space to be what God placed them
Of
in
course.
their life to be. But it's almost like you wanted to protect them of that. So the first time I didn't talk about it, it was shame. And then the second time it was more like, I don't want to burden you with this. I don't want to have to go through all of that again.
Which is crazy because it's like that's what they're there for.
Yeah. You shouldn't take that away from them. Because that is worse than not telling them.
It is worse than not telling them.
Yeah.
Because even though it's hard, it's like they would do anything. Literally anything.
So yeah, after that, I won't lie. This period of my life is very chronologically disorganized, because for a very long time I did not reflect on what happened, and I kind of kept it buried to the point that I even forgot that it happened. It felt completely removed, like an experience that was outside of me, because I think part of that is I feel like I'm a completely different person now.
Yeah.
For starters, I'm not advocating for trans rights at my school.
We didn't clarify that.
Yeah, but like the other part of it is it's weakness. It's like that vulnerability of why you need Christ, which we spoke about in the beginning, that you're not strong enough on your own. And then, so that's when I started with atheism. And then I think in the beginning of grade 8, mid-grade 8, I converted back to Christianity and gave my life to the Lord again, which was me working through the mental health issues, and also just there were very good friends at that point who were speaking life into me, and they were leading by example. And I think this happens with a lot of people's journeys of Christ. They look up to someone and they're like, oh, I really want to be like them. I've got a Christian role model. And then you kind of just start doing what they're doing. Oh, they read the Bible every day. Let me do that too.
Yeah.
And it's not a great reason to start doing it, but it builds that daily practice.
Yes.
And that's what ends up delivering you. So
absolutely.
That was really good for me. And actually, this is random. I'm sidetracking again, so cut this out if you want. But
we don't do cut outs, Michelle. We got it.
At one point, I was actually quite interested in the Islamic faith. Yeah. What really drew me to it was how disciplined that daily practice was, which I think is really missing from the Christian aspect. Like, there's not enough emphasis on that, on what it looks like to practice, and how different your life looks.
Right.
Not just from the sins that you're not committing.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's something that interested me on that, and I feel like that's something that we're missing.
Funnily enough, I relate to that as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn a lot about, part of why I asked the question is because I've related to that too, is I wanted to look at a whole bunch of other religions, and Islam specifically interested me as well. Probably not to the extent that you were interested in, but it did interest me. And I've actually had more religious conversations with Muslims actually on a very deep, like in the Torah level of the Bible. And something my mother told me, she said, for those who train to test money and its authenticity in the bank, like apparently there's a period of time, what I was told was that it was 3 years where they would just only use what's real money, real money, real money.
Yeah. Sorry.
All good. And then when the moment their hands would come into contact with a fraudulent form of, notes of whatever currency, they would instantly know straight away. And the whole point my mother was making was, why would you need to study all these other religions, whereas if you just study or follow God, you'll know exactly, like if you seek truth, that scripture says you shall know the truth and truth will set you free. Essentially, she was saying seek truth and you'll know what's false, which is it's quite intense to say, but it's just how it was said. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think it has a lot of validity to it, but you
have to
have
be
to
careful.
make the bold assumption that what you're busy with is the truth.
Absolutely.
Which is, I think there's always a little bit of doubt.
Yeah, it's 100%, and I know a lot of people, but let's just say pursuit of truth. Like if you spend time with truth, you will know what is false. And in saying that, it hasn't deterred me from wanting to understand other religions. And I think that's what a lot of Christians get mixed up in, is like going back to the alcohol. Sorry, we do need to carry on with your journey, but going back to the alcohol reference earlier of like not knowing why or whatever, I think it's really important to know why other religions believe different ways or whatever, but I don't think it's worth spending more time in the studying of those religions than relationship with Christ, because then it's and I don't mean like on a scale scale, I just mean like, are you relationally spending time with Jesus, the person of God, like with his spirit, as opposed to so that scripture that says that, which we just mentioned, like truth stands, right? So it doesn't matter what ounce of truth, like the truth is there. So if you seek the truth, you'll find it. So think about lies. The lies promise what only truth can give.
Okay.
That's the power of a lie. Lies aren't going to tell you something. They're not going to tell you that it's not true, because then it wouldn't be a lie. They're going to deceive you into thinking that what they're telling you is a lie. That's the essence of what a lie is and why it holds so much power, and that's why we're disappointed when it isn't true. That's why someone thinks that drinking will help them, it'll numb them from the process. That might be so, but not forever. And then they're even more depressed afterwards because they feel those feelings again. They feel what they were actually going through. And so for me, I don't veer away from if someone believes in a different religion, because I'm going, hey, if you found the truth, like it's fine. It's okay. We can talk about, let's talk about our differences in, what we believe, and let's try to land somewhere. And at the end of the day, at the end of this life, truth will remain, very broad, but does that make sense?
There's a lot to unpack in what you said, and
There's a lot
to unpack in what you said.
100%.
I'm just gonna touch on things that really stood out to me. So when you speak about the pursuit of truth, something that I think is plaguing a lot of young people especially is like science fundamentalism. It's the idea that the only way you can know something is true is if science has proved it.
Yes.
Which that statement itself is not a scientific statement. So like that kind of disproves the whole thing. But anyways, and it's something that you have to have a personal revelation of. It's like, I know so much about you, not because I've used the scientific method. So how do I know that's true? It's like there's a way of pursuing truth that's not a scientific method. And trying to figure out what that looks like for you is a challenge. And it's it's different for other people. And for me, I love learning about other religions. Like, that's something that if I'm going to put a podcast on, it would probably be on that. Other than Instinct Frequencies, that would be my number one, put on. And I think I learned so much about my own faith. And when I start to learn about other people's, because I can kind of start to see the parallels when I identify a weakness in someone else. Like, for example, when I learned about like the Muslim culture and how just embedded it is into every single thing that you do when you grow up. And then when I talk to Muslims now, it's like, you can't convince them otherwise, because that's their whole foundational understanding and their culture. It's a part of every aspect of their life, and that's why they believe what they believe. And I was like, okay, well, how much of what I do believe is because of the culture that I'm in, and the fact that I don't want to reject my culture because I don't want to be rejected by it. So that was a pursuit of truth for me, but it's not like that for other people, for everyone else. So I think the best place obviously to start is with the Word of God, because that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
But for me, that's been a big part of my journey. And there's something else I wanted to say, but I forgot now.
It's okay. It was
We
kind
can
of
move on.
it was kind of like a subplot of what you were saying in your journey.
Yes.
You were interested in Muslim faith and journey.
So, up until that point of like grade 8 and 9, I knew about atheism, and I knew about Christianity. I could probably name the other religions, but I didn't know what the Quran was. Like, I don't know what any of that stuff was. I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Then I started debating, which is my love. I love debating a lot, and there's such a diverse community in that. Like, I've never been so engaged with people who are so different to me other than the debating community, which is crazy to me, because I live in this Hillcrest bubble, this Curo bubble, where everyone is kind of Christian, and even if they're not, they've heard the gospel at least to an extent. And then, okay, debatable, but that's kind of the bubble I was living in.
Like, random stat, I think it's like 8% of Christians actually read their word like consistently. But I get
they've heard of this Jesus guy. Okay.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden I'm surrounded by these people who live like 20 minutes away from me, and they are practicing a completely different religion that I've no idea. Like, I'm so naive to it. And I was talking to this one guy one day, and I was like, ask me a question, because I thought like, I feel like I can answer stuff. Yeah. And he hit me with like some pretty basic things of like, I don't even remember what it was. It was like, was God created? No. Can anything that exists not be created? And he was like, how does God exist? It was like it was so stupid. But I was stumped. I was like, wait,
my whole world has just fallen to pieces.
The logic of God. I like.
Now Ed and I know why we put that book.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that's when I started getting interested, because I also wanted to be able to answer those questions and engage in that, and that was really interesting, but it wasn't done wisely, and it definitely shook my foundations of my faith. I think there's two different types of approaches you can take. You can learn about another religion in relation to your own. Right. Or you can just, like, I don't know, learn about it in like a textbook type of sense.
That's really good.
And I kind of took neither. I was learning about religions to debate them, to prove them wrong.
Right, because that's where you felt like you were the most engaged, which makes sense, yeah.
Not to understand them. And what that ended up resulting in is actually just like completely breaking down my own faith. Because I was like, wait, what do I even believe in? I don't even know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've experienced many seasons of doubt, and I think it's something that is not spoken enough about in the church, because I'm almost certain that everyone's doubted God at some point.
Never.
Of course not. Over something.
Jokes.
And it's like, even recently, like in December, I was going through pitfalls of doubts, and it's weird. Actually, now that I reflect on it, it's almost like once I receive an incredible blessing, the aftermath of that, I experience so much doubt.
Wow.
I don't know why. I really should get into that and try to figure that out.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Do you have like any like references in terms of?
So I'll think about December. So fun fact, I went to Antarctica.
Shout out to Antarctica. I was like, when do we slide this
drop
in? But
I slotted into every conversation. So the thing about that was a complete, like, nothing in my strength could ever make that happen.
Wow.
And that whole process of getting selected for that program that takes 5 African kids to Antarctica showed me that God will take you places that hustling can't, because at that
Come on.
point I had put so much worth in my work, my projects,
Mm.
and not enough trust in God. I was investing in myself and not in God, if that makes sense.
Come on.
But then once I'd received that blessing of being able to actually go on that trip, afterwards, I felt completely like, I don't know if I believe this anymore. Like, I don't know if any of this is
Whoa.
actually even true.
Right after.
Yeah. And it was a lot of things that were playing at me at the time, but the biggest question that I was battling with is, how do people who have not grown up the same as me, I've spoken to you about this before,
Yeah.
like completely different contexts, they've been conditioned another way, and they've rejected God, but I probably would too if I grew up like them.
Yeah.
Why are they going to hell?
Mm.
Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't seem congruent with a loving God.
Yeah.
That was what was making me doubt God at that moment. And I still don't have an answer for that. But I feel like that doubt, that season of doubt, what I've realized about doubt, it's almost the same as like when we talk about suffering. You can neglect the personal growth that's going to happen from it, but that's not going to bring anyone any benefits. So deconstructing your faith is uncomfortable, but it can be absolutely transformative if you use it as a new foundation to reconstruct it from afterwards.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm kind of living in now, is I've deconstructed it, but I'm a lot firmer now because I've reconstructed it. And I think it's that ever-going process of breaking down what you believe and then building it stronger again. And obviously, now that not obviously, but for me, the cornerstone has always remained the same, not earlier. Like when I was in grade 8 and 9, when I was deconstructing my faith, the cornerstone was thrown out.
I had no cornerstone.
No, there was nothing. Just ruins. Yeah. And I actually think, like, this is, I think, why so many people are drawn to agnosticism as well, because they've gone to a place of deconstruction and they're not ready to reconstruct again. So they just give themselves that label, because then they never have to go through that process again. Because here's the thing, if you never reconstruct, you never have to deconstruct again.
Yeah.
And that process of deconstructing is absolutely, like, debilitating.
It is. It really is.
Like, your foundational understanding of everything.
Completely. So for me, that was in the context of like the significance of Christ, and like, why did the cross matter so much? Obviously we're told like it's the crux of our foundation in terms of our faith, in context of deconstructing and everything. But I think I did mention it earlier, but essentially I didn't know the magnitude of, I had never believed in the fact that I thought I had to like consistently, or I felt like I was disqualified every time I did something wrong. That was my belief system, was, it was based on justice. It wasn't like wrong. It was just like just, okay, if you sinned, you go and repent. If you sin, you sin. But every time I thought there was like a cancelling of relationship in between each committing of sin or wrong thought. And then you read the gospel and you're like, I'm stuffed like this. Like, how does this even work? You know? And it's what you're saying. You have to be willing to deconstruct. And if you don't, then obviously you can end up, well, just never having to reconstruct it. But that's why grace means so much to me, because once I realized, it's eternal.
Oh yeah, it doesn't run out.
It doesn't run out. And it's not that, because people say that it's a gift and it didn't cost us anything, and that is very well true. But a lot of us forget that it cost him everything. So it's actually the most expensive form of like legal justice, like of bail, basically. and we completely forget that. So it's not just free. Like it had a price. And but also when you see the price, you realize that anything you could ever do in this lifetime has been covered. And to be honest, anyone who grows up in an extremely legalistic side of Christianity, whether you Orthodox or whatever, okay, grace just doesn't make sense, because on a just side, you're meant to get what you deserve. But then it says God is justice. He's just and merciful. Like it's law and grace. And Jesus says, I didn't come to abolish the law. I came to fulfill the law. So I am both, but you can only experience the life of that in me. And that was just like a huge, huge turning point for me, because I was very much like, if someone was in the wrong, talk about, if you were doing sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like you would hear about it from me. I would be like, yo, bro, what the stuff are you doing? Like, that's wrong. Like, and it would be from a place of condemnation. I would be condemning you for your wrong. I was that dude. And condemnation has never helped anyone, except feel more shameful.
So then what's the difference between condemning someone and then holding up the mirror of the law for them? Because as we spoke about, like, that's needed.
It is definitely needed. But the mirror of the law is meant to be through the blood of Christ. So it's not a neglecting of what you've done. It's a recognizing of that he's paid for it, which should lead to transformational change. And so even if you struggle to do that, here's the crazy part. That's been paid for as well. This is the part that honestly broke my mind. It broke my mind. I just didn't get it. I was like, so wait, so God, are you telling me that if someone gave their life to you, like sincerely, like, gave their heart to you, and then they continued, I don't know, stealing like tiny things for the rest of their life, would they still go to heaven because they've been stealing the whole time? It's like, well, yeah, I've died for them. It's not to say that he's not sweeping the unjust acts of stealing underneath the carpet. He's going, when the devil's coming with accusation, he's going, remember, this is what I died for. Because you got to remember, before Jesus dying, it was the priests would have to cleanse themselves for over a year before they could enter into the temple to experience the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. So it's literally all within the jurisdiction of legalism, actually. It's like it's a legal redemption, which that's the part that I think breaks everybody's minds. That's why, for instance, the taxpayer and the Pharisee and the barber, when they're praying, it says in the word the Pharisee gave long, impressive prayers, and the taxpayer simply said, literally goes, paraphrasing, I'm pretty sure it's close, he says, God, I'm a sinner. I don't deserve anything. I'm sorry. Amen. But he's like weeping on the floor, crying, whereas the Pharisee's up front, like looking prideful when he's speaking or sharing, and it's not even meant to be for everyone around him, but he's praying like everyone's around him. And then Jesus says it was the taxpayer who was left right with God.
So actually what I think you're saying is interesting when it comes to like, when we think of like leaders in the church, the balance between holding them accountable and even acknowledging that they're human. Yeah. So especially during different periods of I've like been a youth leader since end of grade 9. Right. And I've gone through a lot of different phases through that. And I've many times felt like a fraud in the sense that I was presenting an image that I wasn't feeling I was living out. It's like I knew what to say, I knew what the answers were, and I gave them, but I didn't believe that they were true. And I remember having a conversation with my dad last year, and he was like, I think you should take a step back. Wow. And we had this conversation in Strata, and I was absolutely bawling my eyes out in public. It was not a fun time. And it was this feeling of shame. It was like, but like then everyone's going to know that I'm not who I've presented myself to be. Yeah. So what I ended up doing is I stopped leading a life group, but I still like stayed connected as a youth leader within that community, and I think that was really important for me at the time. Yeah. But what I wanted to say about like, I forgot now. Oh my word, my brain has gone foggy.
Well, we have been speaking for a while, so.
I know. Is the accountability and grace thing.
Yes, with leaders. You're saying with
Yes,
church
with
leaders.
leaders.
Yeah. That was great stuff. That was so good.
I'm going to leave that sentence there. I don't think it's going to come back to me until like midnight tonight.
That's so funny. Yeah. We've gone from your story to like so many subplots along the way.
Literally.
But I mean, like, even, I mean, you hear it as well. Like, that's for me, like, when they say, yeah, this pastor has fallen from grace, I'm like, then it's not grace.
Yeah, real.
It's not.
Oh, I got it.
I felt like that would trigger
Boom!
something.
Stephen, we're just on the same frequency here right now. I can feel it.
It's like we're in sync.
I know. Okay, so I don't know how to explain this, but something I was feeling recently is the cost of anointing is a certain life of righteousness and holiness.
Okay.
Like, if you're not living a life, you can't preach it, obviously.
Right,
And to have that anointing, especially in preaching, it's like you have to have that, like, that righteousness and holiness. I lost it again.
Okay, hold on. Let me just go into my piggy bank and see if I can reignite the thought. I just got a fight. I just hit the mic.
Wait, just hold on. You know how I said earlier my brains are like computers?
Yeah.
This one's fried. Go into your thoughts.
No, man. No, I'm forgetting what I was going to say. Dang. With leaders and what were you saying right now?
The cost of anointing.
Oh, yeah, cost of anointing, yeah. So I think, here's the other thing, right? It's like Jesus picked disciples who were nowhere close.
I know. But it's like when they were preaching, they were pretty, not that they were pretty close, they were better.
I mean, one of them took off an ear or two, but.
No, he was still learning.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think that's for me, that's why I personally really admire Jesus, because if you had to look at, I can't remember if we spoke about this last time, but basically, like, if you had to look at the 12 and the Pharisees, and according to like modern leadership standards today, Jesus technically picked in terms of what he could have picked from, the worst people.
Wait,
you know?
I do know. Hold on. I'm just going to get a verse. That's why I'm on my phone.
No, go for it.
Keep talking.
He picked the worst people, and what I mean by that is, like, he picked everyone that no one thought should have been picked.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to, like, leaders and preaching and anointing, absolutely. But your anointing comes from the blood of Christ, and your authority is learnt in your submission to him.
Okay. No, I'm listening.
You got your scripture?
No, I didn't.
Alright, cool.
But I'm listening.
So, like, I think that's what a lot of people, especially in the Christian walk, don't get me wrong, there is an anointing. Like, that's very much there. But the anointing is never from a place of performance.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's always from a place of receiving from Christ and learning. And I believe the authority that you already have can only be learnt through progression in relationship with him, which would refer to us living a holy and set apart lifestyle. But even in the stumbling of that process, there is still authority in the things that he has taught you to be true, that you are, like, he's done something deep within you. And then there's certain things where it's like, okay, I actually can't talk about that because I'm in the middle of that, or I am in the process of learning the significance of how Christ plays a role in that aspect of my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. But I feel like, okay, what you've said has just made me think of, you know, when that rich man comes to Jesus and he's like, what's the greatest commandment?
Yes.
The first commandments that he speaks about, the first 5 that he refers to in the law, are the commandments that other people will see if you're not living or not. He refers to, like, murder and whatever. Like, people are going to know if you've murdered, unless you're pretty good at it. And then the last thing that the other 5 he refers to, second reply was, like, the things that only you will really know if you're not living it out or not. And then my thing that I love about that rich man is he asks God, what do I still lack? And ultimately, at the end of the conversation, the rich man didn't give up his riches, and he didn't end up fulfilling what I feel like God could have really promised him. Like, I feel like he could have been one of the disciples.
Absolutely.
And I think that's, like, not that you enter anointing, but I feel like at one point you have to ask, what do I still lack? Because it's not just about getting the performance stuff right. It's about getting that intention heart stuff right. And when God answers that and shows that to you, if you're able to work through that with him, then I think you step into a part of the spirit that wasn't accessed before.
I think that's so good and so true. I recently had I said it on the last one with the previous guest, but I'll say it again here, is I had this prophetic image of, it was quite hectic actually. I was worshiping and I just saw like this parasite drop out of my stomach.
Ooh.
Like this hectic big worm-like parasite. I was like,
Sis.
this is a pretty grotesque image, Lord. I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
And it was very simple. He said, unless you're willing to submit, you will never see the things of the Spirit.
Okay. I don't know how those two, the image connects to that, but...
Because when you don't submit, pride is like a parasite that you don't know is eating you from within.
That's so good.
And you will be blind. Again, it's like Elijah or Elisha, I think, in the word where they're surrounded by an army. And it's in I think it's in Samuel. I could be wrong. Anyway. And his servant says to him, we're surrounded. And he says, no, we're not. Look again.
Oh, yeah.
And then this army that's surrounding them, surrounded by another army of the Lord. And I often think, the only way we can ever see what is supernatural is if I'm willing to submit to the fact that what I know isn't all that there is, and that there's more. And that's probably, I would say, one of the biggest conundrums for most people's beliefs is the supernatural.
Yeah.
And they'll know you by your fruit. I mean, Jesus says, you'll do greater works than I. Heal the sick, raise the dead. You know, like, those are hectic things.
Literally.
Really hectic things.
Yeah.
And I've seen the fruit, like, personally in my life, I've seen the fruit. Like, we had a girl who was demon-possessed in youth, and we, by the grace of God, we literally cast out the demon. That is something that was phenomenal. But I'll be honest, when it comes to healing, like, God's still working that on in my life. Like, that's still... Okay, we are back now. Hayden, I think you bumped up our mics, dude. Or my mic. Is that fun?
Ah!
Whoa! I think it's fine. Are you okay?
I'm okay. It's a little bit louder
I'm not
than
fine
earlier.
anymore because my ears are broken. Oh my gosh. That woke me up.
Wait, what were you saying? You were saying something so good.
It was about Elijah, I think.
Yes, and then
it,
you've
like,
seen the things in the spirit.
Seeing the things in the spirit. And yeah, that's just something.
The demon possessed, you are still working through the healing part of that.
Boom, Ram is back. Okay, so
we're rebooting,
yeah. For anyone wondering, reboot, yeah. Literally with batteries. But so like that's something that I saw when you literally arrived today. You're like, I just need prayer so I can be healed. Like that's something that God is working out, but you can only see that if you have a supernatural desire.
Yeah.
Which means there's a submission to His Spirit in the fact that you are believing for it.
The supernatural, it's been a weird thing for me in my journey. I remember I read this book, probably in grade 9. It was called The Veritas Conflict. And
The what?
Veritas, which is Latin for truth.
Cool. I thought I was tired, but it was Latin. Cool. I'm with you. I was like, dang, Michelle, I'm trying to keep up. I really am.
It was actually it was a fictional story.
Okay.
And it's about this girl who goes to Harvard. Wow, I'm really loud. Can you turn me down a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, my ears were shot. That's why. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And
Wait, I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me turn you down.
it was just this one woman's interpretation of what the spiritual realm looks like.
Okay.
As this girl goes through her life or whatever. And it was so interesting for me because it's the first time it became very real to me, that there was like a whole world that everything that I do in this physical world gets impacted by, and this impacts our world.
Right.
And I was so scared. I was so freaked out. And I think that's why, like, people don't like talking about it.
Yeah.
I know, like, even within my youth.
Mental note. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, people don't like talking about it because it freaks them out.
Yes.
But then, on the contrary side, like, the way that it's engaged with by non-Christians, like if you think about astrology or
right.
New Age beliefs, it's like the way they engage with it is still in a controlled way.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. I forgot what I was going to say now. But
The supernatural, it freaked you out.
maybe you should talk about that mental note that you just took.
I was just going to say that I find it fascinating
Yeah.
that when it comes to the supernatural, a lot of people in the context even of Christianity, like, don't believe in healing or casting out of demons or like words of knowledge and stuff like that, but they'll believe in like demons and like darkness
Yeah.
and all those elements of darkness, of witchcraft and cults, and they'll believe sangomas, like all that. But then when it comes to having faith for good supernatural, or the supernatural of what is good, like in the context of Jesus, like it's not there.
Yeah.
And tying back into the music aspect of our life, one of the most impactful things I feel like God's shown me is like just ask me the question, like, what's the source of your sound? And because like what you're listening to is what you end up becoming. You know, because music is so powerful because it's the only thing that can bypass your brain and touch your heart. You don't really have to think about it. If it's got a good beat, you're just bopping to it, you know, like you know, like what we put it on in college where I put on the song Fireball, you know. Fireball. Dun, 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 dun. You know, so everyone's dancing.
Yeah.
And then I say, now listen to the lyrics for the verse.
Ooh. Jump scare.
Like literally it's about drinking, it's about taking shots, it's about girls twerking, and I think I think they like he's trying to take the girls out or a couple of girls to have sex basically. Like that's pretty much what the first verse or first two verses of the song are, and then it's like Fireball dun, 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 and everyone's like, okay, forget all of that, like we're just gonna which makes sense because we are frequencies. It's like we respond to frequencies, and usually when a song when a song gets to like 120 BPM, and if everyone's in the same room, your hearts literally synchronize.
No ways.
Yeah. So a good DJ will take it from like 70 BPM, which is like slow half time, and he'll raise it up over time, and then eventually when you get to about the 120 mark, and if you've been in the same room, that's why also worship together is so powerful. Because our hearts are literally synchronizing over the one who created it.
Club.
Like it's intense, but in the same breath, in a club, your heart is synchronizing over the false beliefs that you're about to have, you know? So for your selfish desire, should I say, which is quite intense. So when it comes to the supernatural, what I've been realizing is exactly what you said earlier, cutting out secular music, and then listening to worship or to godly podcasts or just the word. It says it in the word, meditate on my word day and night. Like, because if you have one bad thought in the morning, your whole day is ruined because you're just thinking about it the whole time. And it's like that classic thing that went around, I think like it was a year ago. It's like, did you actually have a bad day or did you have 5 to 10 minutes of a bad day? And you milked that for the rest of the day.
Real.
Right? And then the last one is like, if the devil knows you're good for the day, he'll just put bad thoughts in your mind before you go to bed, and then he ruins your night. And then if he ruins your night, you have a bad day. So it's like when you meditate my word day and night, like it's one of the, I'm sure we've mentioned before in the pod, it's one of the reasons why David walked up to Goliath, and he says to him, "Who's this uncircumcised Philistine who defies the living armies of God?" But Goliath identifies the army as Saul's army. He says, "Who from Saul's army will come and fight me?" Subtle change, big difference though. So, and the only reason that David notices the difference is because he's had personal devotion to the Lord and the pastures of the fields that he would look after the sheep. That's where he defeated bears and lions with his bare hands. Like, that's what he did. He knew God, so that when something challenged anything that was sacred, because he was a true follower, he could identify what was right and wrong. And he said, "You're defying God. You will lose." But here's the crazy thing. Goliath taunts Israel for 40 days and 40 nights. Not just 40 days and nights. Every morning, every evening. "Who from Saul's army will come and fight me?" David's the only one who says, "You defied the army of the living God." He doesn't say you defied the army of Saul. There's a supernatural element. He's greater than what you think, but we will only operate in this belief of the supernatural when we spend time with him. And like, I've been thinking about the concept of belief lately. Like, you only ever do what you believe.
Okay.
Like, just that. Like, you literally only ever do what you believe. So if I commit sin, I believe that was truth at some point.
Ooh. Okay. Maybe.
So it would satisfy what my heart wanted in that moment.
Yeah.
But under the illusion that it would satisfy. So it's not to say that I don't believe in truth, but it's like, I'm currently believing this more than what I know. So I'm doing, you always do what you believe. So if I say that I believe in the fact that, working out is super important, and I never work out, it's like, do I really believe it?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But then why I'm getting a little bit of resistance in my brain
Go.
is I'm thinking about the verse of Paul where it's like, I know what's right, and yet I still don't do it.
Yes.
I think that's like the natural human condition of just
100%.
inherently doing what is wrong, even if that's not what you believe.
Yeah. But also then, why would you do it?
I don't think it's because you don't... I think you almost, blind yourself to it.
100%, but there's a form of belief that led to that.
I feel like it's like you just become unintentional with it. So every intentional thing that you choose is because of what you believe.
Yes.
But unintentional choices are not based on what you believe. They're based on the flesh.
True, but what do you mean by unintentional?
Like you didn't put thought into it.
Okay, but then you could kind of say, well, not choosing is choosing.
Yeah. So it's not choosing to think about it because you know that if you do think about it, you're going to talk yourself out of it.
Right, but then technically you've still chosen.
Yeah, you've chosen it.
Yeah. So then you still chosen to not choose, which is still a form of belief into moving forward.
But don't you think sometimes sin, or not sin, but some of our choices are actually just a reflex or a reaction? So think of if I don't know, knock your knee and it kicks out.
Yes.
You didn't choose that.
Yes.
It's how you're wired, and that created that reaction out of you.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that because of how we're wired.
Yes, yeah. Okay, I see where you're coming from. 100%, but that's something happening to you. I'm talking about we only do what we believe. I'm not saying we respond with our belief, if that makes sense. Like you just mentioned, if you hit me, it's a natural, there's no choice required from me.
Okay. But everything is just a response to something else.
Yeah, good point. But I'm trying to refer to the self, not necessarily when someone else is involved.
Yeah, but even your environment.
Yeah.
Anything.
That's true.
I think this is almost like an issue of discipline. Like when you spoke about when you say you want to work out but you don't. Or you think it's important. I think people who really want to be fit but they're not, it's not because they don't think that being fit isn't good.
Right.
Or that they don't think it's important. It's that the pain of doing it is more than the pain of not doing it.
Right.
And you need to flip that in your mind. You need to have the pain of not doing it is more than the pain of doing it
100%.
in order for that to become an action.
100%.
So that's almost not based on belief. That's like, I don't know what that would be based on. I'd have to think about that further.
So that's where I'm at, where I feel like the cause of action is the response of belief to continue.
Okay.
You know, like that's kind of the, because I totally agree with with everything you said there, but it's like, okay, that's why even like when Paul says like the things I want to do I don't do, and the things I do I don't want to do. It's like, well, why?
Do you, I love these types of conversations.
This is by far the longest podcast we've had.
We're just going to keep going. Do you think people are inherently bad?
Without God, yes.
Are people without God inherently?
Inherently? We went into this a little the other day. I guess he's bringing it back. So for me, yes, I do believe when you say inherently, I mean from us choosing something that was not God and that being passed on through generations, yes.
Okay.
Until Christ, and then after that it changes.
I feel like I mean naturally. Like if you were to run, I hate when people do this, but if you were to run this world like in a whole bunch of multiverses,
Right.
more likely than not people would sin.
100%.
So more likely than not, Eve would always eat the apple.
Right.
Okay. So if people are inherently like that, that means how they've been wired to begin with, then that response is not coming from belief. It's coming from like the broken world that we're in. Because here's, oh my word, okay. This is something I really want to get into.
I was going to come in for an ending, but okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry. That's fine. Go for it.
I'll be 1 minute. So I think a lot of people have a lot of philosophical and scientific conversations to distract from why they're not actually believing in God.
Yes.
Because no one comes to belief in God from premise 1, premise 2.
Yes.
It's actually like personal revelation.
Yeah.
And I even felt this for myself. At one point last year, I was like, I watched this debate about like evolution, and I got to the conclusion, I was like, oh my word, what I have believed is it's false. It's on my word. Let's go. And then in my brain, I heard a thought that was like, okay, well, if it's false, then I can go and do all the sinful stuff. And I was like, wait a second. That's a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Because my motivation for wanting it not to be true is because I wanted to do all these other things.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, we distract the conversation from what really needs to be happening, and we get confused in all these arguments and debates.
Yeah.
And that's not really what the revelation was based on, because even if you don't believe, you're still believing in something.
Yeah.
And that was related to something that was related to what we were going to talk about. But I think it's time to come for a landing. I think you are so right.
Sorry, I was like, I didn't mean to take away from that moment.
No.
Oh my word, I could totally talk more about it, but I just know next time, bro, where are you? Because I would love to dive into that context of belief more, and then even like inherently, do you think we're inherently like bad? I think anything outside of God is inherently bad, but then again, like where you're going, it goes into whole free will again, and it goes into that conversation.
And it goes into like, how does stuff exist outside of God?
Exactly, and that's literally an entirely different podcast, which we could totally have when I come and visit.
Yeah, or maybe I should come.
Or yeah, you should just fly over and then we can film one.
Okay.
That would actually be pretty cool. Antarctica. Have you been to the States?
No.
There you go.
Someone sponsor me.
So if you're on Patreon, you can just... oh my word, we've been everywhere today. Wow, that's crazy.
But I feel like this is such a true reflection of our conversations.
Yeah, it is.
Because if you think about when we sat at Vita, what was that, like 4 hours?
Yeah,
and we
it was
had
roughly-
half a bagel to sustain us through that.
Wait, were you hungry by the end of it as well? I was like, yo, I'm so hungry. And then I was like, I can't get us something to eat because then you're not going to eat dinner and I'm not going to eat dinner. And then we're both going to,
Yeah, we should have just gotten dinner.
yeah, we should have just gotten dinner. Would have been a good idea. But also, yeah, anyway, had a curfew, remember?
Oh, my word.
No, it's actually true. I think our conversations are very much everywhere, but they're very insightful. I feel like they're very enlightening.
What do you think?
Yeah, Hayden, what do you think, dude?
You've sat through all of this.
All of this. And you've seen us forget half of what we were going to say.
You've seen the glitches.
Oh, I'm actually answering.
Yeah, 100%. You're unmuted.
Yeah, I would say with all of this, I think it's actually incredible to see someone that's still in school have such amazing revelations about God and to go really deep into it. That many kids nowadays won't really want to or interested in it. So it's actually really encouraging and uplifting, and my hope for generations to come.
Oh, that was so sweet. I wasn't
She's
expecting
going to
that.
cry now.
But also, I'm very surprised how you're still sipping that. Don't know.
I know. I'm like,
Because every time I lift it, I just get a little taste and then put it out.
I was wondering that as well. I was like, how long did it take you to drink
You
your
know
coffee,
what I
bro?
did? Because I wanted to save some. Because I was like, if you ask me a hard question, I don't know what to say. I need to drink this and have a cough attack to get out of the question.
But wait, if I asked you something that you just like
I was like, wait, what? And then I had a plan. Because that's what we used to do in debating. If someone asks you a hard question, you take a sip of water.
Wait, didn't you have like a whole coughing fit earlier? Was that planned?
That was real.
That was real.
That
Real
was-
planned. No, I'm teasing. But yeah, sure. We're gonna. How far are we? Let's see. We really need to end.
Yeah.
Hey, I will go another 10 minutes. Just finish off the topic.
Oh, well, we've if we go into like, I would have loved to have spoken more about free will because like I like intentionally.
Come on, you should have brought it up then.
I intentionally went back and studied a lot more, and not to come with a debate, but just to like share thoughts, you know.
Yes.
And then, well, I don't really mind if it iron sharpens iron, you know what I'm saying? Like, but and then anyway, there's a whole bunch of cool things. Yeah. Where do you stand? Do you still stand on?
On free will.
Yeah. And that's gonna bring us to the end of this week's episode.
Check in for part 2.
But before we end, like you can say it, and then it'll be like, whoa.
Unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion.
Okay, currently this has actually really been helping me is working in probabilities because I don't have like a firm belief when it comes to certain things like this. I'd say I'm like 60% convinced we don't have free will.
Right.
Actually, no, I'm 100% convinced we don't have free will in the way that we think we do.
Right.
I'm probably 60% convinced that it's a lot more limited than what we might think.
Okay.
And then 40%, I'm like, I don't know about that. So it's like I'm conflicted, but you can see where I lie on that.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. So I'm still convinced.
Wow.
I'm still convinced that we have free will.
I'm glad for you. Must be nice.
I'm still convinced that we are, after listening to a few different voices, but I still want to learn more to understand the thought process on a deeper level, because through our conversation, it made me look into it more. I'd heard it before, but I'd never really
engaged with it.
engaged with it. Because for me, to be honest, only after school, I started shifting to having a growth-oriented mindset, not a goal-oriented mindset.
Oh, real.
Yeah, like I never read books in school besides the ones that you had to read. And even then, it was debatable. But yeah. Anyway, and then I got the highest oral mark for books in school, which is so funny.
Stephen.
No, seriously, like I got the highest mark. And then the teacher was like, I thought I'm gonna leave it there. She's like, no, you have to tell us what happened. I said, no.
It doesn't exist.
I know it did exist.
I have to confess right now.
Uh-oh.
So this is I don't even know if I can say this publicly, but I just feel like I actually should.
We can bleep it out. Subscribe to the Patreon.
So we were doing.
I used to be called the angle grinder from my mother.
What does that mean?
It means like if you said no, I'd find a way for you to say yes in multiple other ways. And not just in the context of like, oh, mom said no, so I'm going to ask dad. And then, it was like genuine, somehow would figure out a way for her to say yes, but not just her, like, I was very good. Because I've learned over time that I have a really good EQ.
Ooh, okay.
Not to not to like flex, but
I got
some people are like, bro, what even is that? I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. No hate. It's a joke. But I've noticed that I connect really well with people, right?
And you're able to make a safe space very easily for people.
Yeah. Which is a beautiful thing, in the context of submitted to God. A very unhealthy thing if it's not submitted to God.
Yeah.
And I have experience might be a strong word. I think I've witnessed that in someone using it in the wrong way, because then what it does become is deep manipulation that most people don't catch up to or on, and only later on they realize like that was like extremely unhealthy. And it can cause a lot of destruction actually. So you have to be very careful how you use your gift. Pretty intense. Because it's meant to glorify, not self-satisfy. But anyway.
Or deceive.
Yeah. So about that $1.2 billion.
It was actually true though.
Did you say dollars or rands?
Dollars.
For you?
I looked it up and it was true. Like, the Lord gifted me with some knowledge there that I didn't know about.
Michelle, you are gifted. Like, if you had to start talking about something about some article and somewhere in the world, you'd be able to substantiate it in such a way that I would just go, wow.
But my parents also used to tell me this. Like, when I was younger, I would just lie. And people believed me. Like, I would just... Like, someone would be like, oh, I wonder how that works. And I'd explain it. And it's not true. I don't know where that came from.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I've we played Mafia once.
Yeah.
And I convinced the entire team that I was leading at the time in church for like preteen youth.
Yeah.
That I was not the Mafia, right? Like, solid job. Like, that's amazing, right? I got you off my back and I won. Okay?
Yeah.
Not that winning matters, but anyway. And debatable. And so afterwards, they were so upset with me. Like, genuinely gobsmacked that I lied to them.
Fool them.
I was like, that's the game. I literally said before the game, I said, guys, no hard feelings. Okay, cool. Like, it's a game.
Okay,
We're gonna.
There's something wrong with them then.
And they were so, like, to the point where it took about a year.
Oh.
Okay. And what I mean by is they did trust me. Like, it was restored. But every now and again, they were like, are you?
Steven.
I said, listen, I did take drama, so I can't. That's also why. That's also why in Blueprint.
What?
It's like when I see a drama student, I'm like, no. Like,
when they do their blueprint.
When they do their blueprint. That's all we can say because we don't want to give away. But I remember very clearly. And because Mrs. Posma did that to us, she was like, she would know straight away because, yeah, you can't. But also that's where the gift of discernment comes in as well, where you can pick up on whether someone's being sincere and genuine, which is not always easy. But I think over time, like when you walk with God, you will notice those things. Yeah. So much for ending. Hey, that was great.
The never ending
that was
podcast.
like, yeah, exactly. That was the 10 minutes you're talking about. Hey, hated.
2 hours later.
2 hours. Oh gosh, Nick, I'm sorry, dude. He's like, bro, I just want to spend time with you before you go to the States. And it's 10 to 6. Okay, wow. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Lachelle, thank you for coming on the podcast. She's just letting everyone know that she's still alive because we've been here forever. But thank you so much for listening and watching. Once again, if you want to help out with the podcast, we have a Patreon. Go and subscribe there. You get separate content from all the stuff you see on social media. Maybe
You can sponsor me to go to the US.
Can sponsor Lachelle to go to the US and finish the free will conversation and a whole bunch of other ones that we touched on that we didn't really get into. But anyway, really enjoyed having you on. Did you enjoy it? Was it fun?
I love yapping. I love this so much. And I love listening to my voice in these headphones. How am
Lachelle's
I
not
going to
be
go?
the same.
No, this mediocre life. I need this quality. Ugh, it's fun.
It's fun.
Thank you, Stephen.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming, Lachelle. And
My greatest pleasure.
who knows? Maybe one day you'll visit the States. I don't know.
Or maybe I'll invite you on my podcast.
In Antarctica.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Yeah. Anyway, as always, just like, share, subscribe, share with a friend if this conversation, 3-hour conversation, meant a lot to you. But as always, we're here to grow, we're here to share, and like we mentioned, like even if you have differing opinions about things, I think it's really important that you can talk about them together and not get so heated. Anyway, appreciate you guys. See you in the next one. Peace out.